Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we talk about all the latest in pop culture news, TV and movie reviews, gaming news, and just the general conversations of the day. For those who don't know me, I'm Price of Reason, and with me, as always, is my co host, Professor R2. How's it going, Professor?
Oh, it's going all right. Start to a very, very busy week. And as all the plants and things start popping up and sending all of their pollen everywhere, my sinuses go crazy. And so it's a little tiring, but it is just something you have to deal with when you have allergies. So,
Yeah, that happens to me too sometimes.
yeah. But yeah, overall, you know what? It's been a pretty good day. We got some amazing news today, so it's a lot of been fun. Even had friends that I rarely talk to. A friend of mine who's a huge Star Trek fan dropping me a text message. I'm like, because he heard the news, and I said, "Oh yeah, I've been talking about that."
It was rather funny. I mean, there were a few things that were quite annoying that happened, but I expected them all. Some of them I expected, something I didn't expect. First of all, of course, I made a video about it, but there was that Variety article that also had Alex Kurtzman, uh, quoting Gene Roddenberry and somehow pretending that they're in league with each other.
Oh yeah, they're the same, right? They're doing the same thing.
Let me share the screen. So, I mean, the thing is that I think that back in the day, it used to be that you make a crappy show that nobody watches, it's a disaster, and it gets canceled. You maybe get like some, at best, something, and then some newspaper says it was canceled, and that's it. For some reason today, so many egos need to be massaged, so many PR, publicists involved, millions of dollars of like publicity and PR people sitting around trying to like present this in some positive light. It's like there's no positive light to present this as. The truth is, and I said this in the video, Starfleet Academy had 2 seasons. It had 2 seasons because they made one, and as they were making it, they said they were going to make another one, or maybe right out the gate they gave them 2 seasons. I'm not really sure, but at the end of the day, we already knew once this thing had aired that they had already filmed the second season, which is in post production. So we weren't thinking to ourselves there wouldn't be a second season. We just thought to ourselves, would there be more after that? And that's why also, even a while back, I remember making a video immediately when Starfleet Academy premiered. There were people then saying, it's going to be it's going to be canceled after season 2. And I just said to myself, this is such stupidity. Like I those kind of quote unquote scoops really annoyed me because it's like, it's obvious. I mean, nobody's watching the show. It's an embarrassment. They already filmed 2 seasons. Obviously there's going to be another season, and most likely there isn't going to be any more. And so many people like, oh, I scooped this, the scoop confirmed. That guy's the scooper. This guy's the scooper. It's like, and I told you at the time, nobody from Paramount, David Ellison is not walking out of meetings calling people, sharing secrets with, people in England or people like, in Pakistan. He's not calling anybody to tell him that. You know what I mean? There was like this channel from like India or Pakistan, like, oh, it's going to be canceled. And people are like, look. It's like, yeah, they're just saying what everybody knows. They filmed 2 seasons. They're going to show those 2 seasons, and chances are they're not going to make any more. And even you told me at the time that they already took apart the sets for that show, right? I think you said that to me.
That was what I had heard, that the sets had actually, that they had already started tearing down sets. So who knows? Who knows exactly what was going on? Obviously, all of this is just rumor that we keep getting out of these different sources. There's different people have different sources, whatever. There's a few different people out there. Tachyon Pulse is one, but there's others out there as well that are, saying,
Pulse,
yeah.
I always sound like an asshole, but I will say this. Tachyon Pulse is like Captain Obvious. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that, like, necessarily he's a liar or something, but all he does is basically, like, deduce the same things that any other person that actually is following what's going on would deduce, but he adds, like, this kind of sheen of, like, "Wow, like, David Ellison called me right outside the meeting," or whatever. It's like, dude, nobody called you. Like, you saw the same information that we saw, and you said the same thing. It's just he adds that layer of, like, "I got a top secret call. Somebody was in that meeting, ran out to call me." He's like sitting in, like, who knows where, you know what I'm saying? He's sitting in, like, Birmingham or something. I don't even know if
Mhm.
that's where he's sitting. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? He's
Who
like
knows?
eating, like, some crumpets and drinking tea in, like, Birmingham. Yeah, that guy he gets all the calls, from the boardroom. You know what I mean? So again, I'm not trying to knock his hustle, and it's fine. He said, he was the Captain Obvious guy again. It's fine. I mean, you can make a channel by being Captain Obvious, and I guess people like that. You know what I mean? It's fine. I don't even care that he does all the kind of speculation. I think that the only part that kind of is not my favorite is that it's presented as these big scoops when in fact he's just, looking at the facts and stating them. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
that's not a scoop to me.
Sure.
Like, he could make the same videos if he made all the same videos and he didn't, like, present it as that you just, like, you know what I'm trying to say. That's the only little caveat that I have. But again, people in life do whatever they do. I mean, like I said, he's not as bad as, let's say, like a Mike Zero who just sits there and completely invents things. He at least looks at things, finds something that's, like, grounded in reality, but, like, puts, like, a very spicy spin on it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, we've gotten this report now. We've heard this from a few different sources, and of course, there is the big source, which was Variety, now telling us season 2, that's it. Do you think, like some other people have been speculating, that this news is more than meets the eye? That this might be them signaling they're done with Kurtzman?
I can only hope. I can only hope that that's the case. I really, want them not to. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so crazy. Ah, on Rumble, it's not actually doing it the way it should do it. Ah, that's so sad. We're not going to get our Rumble audience because I think that it's actually going through my user instead of my. There's something wrong. There's something weird going on here. Let's
I
see.
noticed that it didn't show up when I
Ah,
was looking at your account, but when I clicked on the link inside Studio, it took me to a stream. So I have a stream that is showing. And it's got
I
the
see.
title and everything, but I had to go through the link, clicking on the Rumble link in
That
our
that
studio
is a
to get to
shame.
it.
I want to apologize to the Rumble audience. I may have clicked on something that I shouldn't have. I
Yeah,
don't really know exactly what happened, but it seems like there's a technical glitch, whereas we're not really streaming on that platform today.
yeah, it's going to a different account, Price. That's what it is. Because when I
Let
look
me
at the account, it shows 4 followers, so it's going to like a second account that you made.
let me see if there's any
Yeah.
way to fix this. I'm gonna try now.
I wonder, can you like rebroadcast?
See if something happened now. I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties.
Let's
It's just
see.
sad because I like having everybody.
Oh yeah, I see.
I think I fixed it. I don't know if it's too late. I don't know if maybe we've done something wrong here.
Ah, okay. So yeah, now I'm seeing it on the other channel. Yeah.
It may have already chased some people away, and I apologize for that, but I'll know for next time. And the fact that I was even able to fix it, Professor,
Yeah.
that's already a win. It's the
Well, hey,
best thing.
something happened. You were able to swap it over to the other channel, or share it with the other channel, or rebroadcast, whatever.
I somehow managed to
So
go into the settings and fixed it, and basically, that's part of the advantages of listening to the Night Owl, of watching the Night Owl, because right over here in this studio, we only have the best technology. So we even are able to troubleshoot serious technical issues like the one we just did now. Don't want to toot my own horn. I don't want to tachyon pulse this thing here.
Well, Mur Rockstro, who's over on Rumble, says that he was able to see it even before you said, "Let me try this." So, yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know.
I'm telling you that initially I didn't, and I'm hoping that now it's going to be better. I could tell in the settings that there was something wrong, but
Yeah.
it doesn't matter now. Everything is great. Let's move on.
Yeah.
So when it comes to, I'm wondering, this is something that I said maybe a month ago. I could be wrong. I made a video, like I think it was, I'll tell you when I made it, January 29th, 2026. So that's already almost 2 months ago, right?
Yeah.
Let me see what I did. I just want to know if I'm like if I know what I'm talking about or not. Are you with me?
I'm with you.
Okay, let's share this and see what happens. Can you hear it?
Oh no, it's not shared yet. Presentation mode.
Oh, it's presentation mode.
Yep.
Okay.
There we
The
go.
only reason I'm putting it on is I want to know if I got it right or not. I have no idea. I honestly don't remember what I said in this video. So guys, bear with me. They can't afford to keep making this type of crap if nobody is going to watch it. And that's probably why there's been a wave of so many reports online that range from pure clickbait.
Yes.
Reports based on very questionable sources, which is fine if you're into that sort of thing. I mean, a lot of channels out there, they have their own hustle, and I don't want to be the one to knock it, but I will say this. People sitting in Europe or the Far East claiming that top executives at Paramount have personally called them to tell them that Starfleet Academy has been secretly canceled is not something that I can take seriously. In fact, it kind of bothers me just how much of these type of sensational reports I see both on YouTube and even sometimes within the independent media. And while on this channel, some of my reports are occasionally speculative in nature, they are always based on facts that are publicly available, and I always make that clear in the video, and I would never claim that a studio source personally contacted me if that didn't really happen. So however you feel about my reporting, I will say that it's usually grounded in reality and not just some sensational thing. And before I get into my own discovery from today, I'll tell you this. When a show doesn't perform, and clearly Starfleet Academy isn't performing well, based on actual numbers that we know, it doesn't take a detective to deduce that we're not going to be seeing much more of it. From what I know, prior to all these recent rumors, Starfleet Academy was always going to have a second season, and that season has already been filmed prior to the premiere of season 1. It's highly likely that all of this was settled with showrunner Alex Kurtzman in advance, so anybody that's reporting now that the series is either renewed for a second season or canceled after a second season, they're just basically telling you that the sky is blue, because we already all know that. The only thing that is more important is that, according to Kurtzman himself, he has not yet met with David Ellison to discuss if his own Star Trek contract will be renewed when it expires in August 2026. And if I had to take a guess, I tend to think that Ellison wouldn't extend Kurtzman's contract. Not only do Kurtzman's shows usually perform rather poorly in the ratings, Kurtzman's injection of far left-leaning ideologies within Star Trek may not sit well with the Ellison family, who are more right-leaning and known to be friendly with the current US president. And although you never know anything 100%, I would genuinely be surprised if Ellison extends Kurtzman's contracts. The only question that remains, in my opinion, is if the second season of Starfleet Academy will ever air, or if Ellison decides to delete it and use it as a tax write-off, much like Warner Brothers' David Zaslav did with Batgirl a few years back. My instinct, though, tells me that I think Ellison will let it air at some point, but perhaps won't do much promotion for it. Maybe Paramount will just dump all the episodes in one day, like Disney does with some of its failing streaming shows. As for the actual scoop I have for you, today I was working on my Starfleet. So that's interesting, right? Without anything, without doing 20 videos that I'm the greatest scooper on the face of the earth, without the guy that, David Ellison calling me after every meeting, without all that shit, I just said what seemed to be the right thing to say. Do you get what I'm saying, Professor?
I got you.
and I never promised it. I just said, listen, this is what logic and what the information we have is. This is what logic tells us. Meanwhile, you had people making like the craziest like thumbnails and headlines, even articles, even more like independent media telling like all these like wacky stories. There's no stories, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you got to just be honest and just say, we know this is happening. This is most likely going to play out this way, and then just shut up. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion. I'm fine. Everybody has their hustle. I'm not bitter or anything,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, it's
and this was January 29th. This was
January
29th, just to mind you. But go on.
No, I think you're right. I think this was a foregone conclusion. Anyone could see that this was a massive failure, and it only makes sense for them to end this, to cancel this show. It would be one of the most ridiculous failures ever after the appalling amount of just incompetence that was poured into this show. The terrible ratings, the terrible viewer numbers, the the kind of attention that it got from the fandom, none of which was positive. I mean, there were some brand loyalists who were out there going, "It's Star Trek. I love Star Trek. Woohoo." But at the same time, most people who watched this, people who were traditionally Star Trek fans, said that this was awful. So I feel like this was always a foregone conclusion. Obviously, people have made different people have made poor choices. Executives have made poor choices. We do have a friend in the chat. Let's see, Sci-Fi for Me TV, who is he's reported on a lot of great stuff, talking about Star Trek, and he's been got some sources inside that have contacted him that he has regular contact with. He says it looks like it's going to be a different contract, probably a first look deal. If he gets that, and I've actually heard this from other sources as well, that if he gets that first look, signs that first look deal, part of that is he immediately ceases his other contract. So the current contract with Secret Hideout goes poof. So if he does sign on with that agreement, there's also been word that potentially he's not interested in a new contract with them because he's been shopping around stuff to other companies like Netflix. So who knows? But and until we actually finally get some news, personally, I think that yes, this news, it's really curious that they would come out and put this out as publicly as they did, putting it in trade publications, if it did not mean that there is something significant getting ready to happen with his contract. I think it would be radio silence if they still hadn't made any decisions.
Both Jill and Sci-Fi for Me TV, I sent you DMs now. If you happen to check those, no pressure, of course, but if you're already around and feel like, weighing in, you are invited. So I sent you both invites. It is a late hour, and I know some people are already like winding down for the day, but just wanted to know that, you're welcome. In any case, what was I going to say? So, by the way, I rarely do this, but the only person out of that whole thing that scooped anything was me. And it's not like it was some kind of Sherlock Holmes scoop. It was actually like, it was a nice little thing that I, discovered, but it wasn't actually, it wasn't groundbreaking, you know what I mean? But this was the time that some of its failing streaming shows. As for the actual scoop I have for you, today I was working on my Starfleet Academy Episode 4 review, and I wanted to quickly look at Episode 1 of Starfleet Academy, which I had bookmarked from the day it premiered on YouTube. Now, if you recall, in addition to premiering on their own streaming service, Paramount decided to offer the first episode of Starfleet Academy for free on YouTube to anybody that's willing to watch it. And embarrassingly, it was only viewed there by 1,300 people, and over the days that followed, only by an additional 200,000 people, which is obviously a complete and utter disaster. They spent over $100 million on this thing, and they couldn't even make people watch it for free. And they were, of course, on YouTube ratioed with dislikes and bombarded with comments poking fun at the show. And I admit that a few times when I went back to look at it, I was very surprised that Paramount had still kept the episode on YouTube. Perhaps they were thinking that it could still cause more people to watch it, but today as I went to the bookmark of the video on YouTube, I discovered that something had changed. Paramount has made the premiere episode of Starfleet Academy private. And I haven't seen anybody else talk about this. Now, there could be one out of three reasons for this. One is that they want to clean up all the bad comments and somehow sanitize the video in some way behind the scenes, which they didn't do. They never returned it. By the way, to make this look like less of a disaster, and then they'll make it public again. The other reason is that they could potentially re-upload it as a completely new video, canceling all comments on it altogether, not allowing new comments, and just trying to rewrite the narrative somehow. Didn't do that either. Very telling that they didn't even bother doing that. You know what I mean? They're just like, you know what? Let's cut our losses. Nobody likes this shit. Sorry, Sean. Be the wisest on their end is that they don't re-upload it, they keep it private, and just never talk about it again. Regardless. And that's pretty much what they ended up doing. They never returned it. And some people were like, no, they only meant to put it on for like a few weeks. They always wanted to take it down. And you know what? I call bullshit on that. When you have a show that you really like feel is like this YouTube video is like causing people to look at Paramount Plus, to like check out the show. If this video would have been like a recruitment video that everybody watches the first episode of Starfleet Academy and immediately signs up for Paramount Plus, which they would know, you know what I'm saying? Like, if there's such a huge like traffic influx from this idea, I don't think they would have removed the video. Certainly not a few weeks into the airing of it. You know what I mean?
Of course, yeah.
It was obvious to me that they removed that because they knew that they had no choice. You know what I mean? Like they were being ridiculed. You know, don't forget, this is not only in our circles. Like, you know, Gary Nerdrotic, he made a video with the Spock sitting on a chair that got more views, and then like Gutfeld on like Fox News was talking about Gary that made the video, and he was laughing at Star Trek Academy. It's like Starfleet Academy. I guess what I'm saying is it was so ridiculed already, with like people online all hearing about this joke, that I think that they just didn't have a choice. And the fact that they didn't try to make a statement or try to, you know, make it seem like they're 100% behind the show or whatever it is, it just seems like they said, we have to go through our contractual obligation, we have to show this crap, and once it's done, you know, notice that they actually said that it's canceled. They could have said nothing. They could say nothing and just wait until the second season comes out, and then just say, hey, it's the second season, and at the end of that season say, hey, we're canceling the show. Or when the second season starts, they could say it's the final season. But what did they do? The second this show ends and Alex Kurtzman starts trying to rally, quote unquote, his activist troops, and he's like, I got ideas for 4 more seasons. I can't wait to talk to David Ellison about it. He's going to love the 4 seasons I have in my pocket for like Starfleet Academy. 5 minutes later, there's like an announcement. This show is done. You know what I mean? Like, Alex Kurtzman 5 minutes ago was talking about 4 more seasons. Do you remember that?
Oh, yes, of course. Before too long, we are joined by Jason from Sci-Fi For Me TV. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going, man?
You guys hear me okay?
Yeah, a little low.
A little low. You could turn up the thing.
Pump up the volume, right? Okay.
Yep.
How's that? Is that any better? A little bit, maybe?
Yeah, no, it's cool. What's up, man? Let me see. Talk for a second.
Talk for a second. 1, 2, 3.
It's a little low. Let me see
low?
if I can. I don't know how to make it higher. You make the volume higher if you can.
I can boost it over here a little bit.
I have a good feeling about it.
Oh, and we have a over on YouTube. We have a raid from Nerd Wars. Thank you, Erwin.
Thank you,
Nice.
thank you. Erwin's the man. Thank you, man.
Is that better? How's that?
It's better.
Kinda?
Yeah,
kind of. Yeah.
I'll just speak up. I'll use
Yeah.
I'll use my professional radio voice. No, I was first of all, Price. Let me give you props for a second because I did a video a while back building on an idea that you had regarding Doctor Who with the dream crabs.
That's the best way to solve it. It's the only way we can
It
fix
is.
that thing.
It is. I gave you props. I gave you credit, and I just wanted to let you know that was a perfect idea to fix Doctor Who. So anyway, but yeah, I've got two different sources. I call them Cypress and Ash. And Cypress told me back in January, we reported this January 22nd, that David Ellison, Skydance, had ordered Kurtzman and Secret Hideout to reshoot the end of season 2. Now, we had been told, and Tachyon Pulse podcast both had reported that Kurtzman had been given the end of December to finish all of the shooting. Everything had to be done by the end of December. Cameras done, pencils down, and go into post-production on Strange New Worlds and Academy both. Well, then we heard that they were still shooting for Academy into January and February. Turns out the reason they were doing that is because Skydance told them, you've got to shoot a new ending for season 2 because the show is over. So I reported that on the 22nd of January. And again, none of this stuff is anything that I can confirm or corroborate because, I got somebody on the inside. He's got a pretty good track record, but that only goes so far. You can only vet them so far. And then I got Ash telling me that David Ellison, right after the first couple of episodes dropped, David Ellison called a secret meeting with the advertising department at CBS Paramount and said, we're making changes. We're going to bring the advertising department in early to figure out marketing and promotions and this kind of thing. Star Trek was nowhere, anywhere on any of the advertising packages that they would be selling for things like CBS Network or CBS Sports or anything like that. And in that meeting, Ellison said that he had greenlit 2 movies to be released in 2028 that will reset the Star Trek universe. His words. That was a direct quote that was given to me from somebody that was in the room.
Okay.
So the Goldstein Daily film that we know about, the Dungeons and Dragons guys, they're doing one. That one we know about. There's also apparently another one for 2028. I've been in communication with Michael Sussman, who's been pitching Star Trek United. I asked him today, I said, does Academy's cancellation clear the decks for United to go forward? He says, maybe. So I know he's pitched it. I know he's been talking about it. He's been doing a lot of interviews, a lot of podcasts about it to talk about. This is the one where Jonathan Archer is the president of the Federation with Scott Bakula.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would love to see Scott Bakula, in something that's good, not something crappy, though, you know?
Well, and I think, given Sussman's history with the franchise, with the previous franchise with Berman Trek, and the fact that Scott Bakula is on board with it, I think there's a pretty good chance that we'd get a decent Star Trek out of it. But we don't have anything official greenlit. Now, the fact that we've had the cancellation of Academy announced yesterday, I would suspect, I'm going to speculate, I'm going to go out on a limb, that by the end of the month, we'll have some word one way or the other on United. But that's a total guess on my part.
But I
can't say for sure.
You think that Tachyon Pulse, he reported something that was worthwhile in advance? You think you rate his reporting?
Yeah, well, he was reporting the same stuff that we were hearing from a different source. So the stuff about the new contracts, the stuff about the ending, and they have to be done shooting by the end of December We were getting that from one source. Jay was getting that from a couple of other sources. So that has me thinking that we're all kind of getting the same information from different places. That leads me to think that it's more legit than if we were all getting it from the same place.
I see.
So,
well, that's good to know, because I always say to myself that I don't really trust, I'm not saying that his reporting is false, but a lot of times I just feel like he looks at things that I see out there and says the same thing, but he packages as a more kind of sensational scoop, even though he's just sort of reporting what everybody is seeing anyways. But if you say that he knows stuff, then I'll take that into consideration.
well, and like I said, a lot of times with a lot of this stuff, you can only go so far as figuring out how legit this information is, because it's hard to corroborate, it's hard to confirm. And you sit there and go, well, I know a guy who knows a guy. I have my contact has somebody inside CBS, and Jay's got somebody inside CBS. He's got somebody inside Paramount. I have somebody inside their advertising department. So it depends on the source. But again, I have one guy telling me, and I have one person telling me. So it's hard to get a second source. Journalists, the standard used to be, you'd get two different separate sources that would tell you the same thing, and then you could run with the story. So we have to categorize all of this stuff as rumor because we can't confirm it. But the fact that we've both been reporting it from different sources, I feel pretty solid about it.
Well, let me ask you this then. For example, if Kurtzman, if let's say David Ellison says, I don't like this Kurtzman guy or anything he does, I don't want to renew his contract.
Right.
At this point, what happens to all the stuff, all of his crappy shows, Discovery and Strange New Worlds and Starfleet Academy and all his garbage? What happens to it then?
So my understanding, Jay at Tack Out Pulse went through the contract fairly detailed. This goes back a ways. So if you go back to the middle of the Me Too movement, when Les Moonves got shown the door as president of CBS, on his way out the door, he left this contract with Secret Hideout to screw CBS and stab them in the back. And the contract, as I understand it, basically said that if Secret Hideout could find some place to air a show, it would automatically get greenlit and they would go into production. And if CBS, Paramount Plus, or whoever canceled it before there were 5 seasons, they'd have to pay this exorbitant kill fee, like $130, $150 million if they canceled it before it went 5 seasons. That's why we got 5 seasons of Discovery. We're getting 5 seasons of Strange New Worlds.
But we're not at 5 seasons of Starfleet Academy.
We are not at 5 seasons. That's correct. And I'm told, again, rumor, hearsay, I'm getting this from a single source, that this particular deal is they were going to give him a new contract that would be a first look deal to get Trek back into CBS's hands. This is kind of where that whole 25% difference thing has been circulating around. With the stuff that Secret Hideout develops and produces, they own a piece of that because it's theirs. It's kind of like, all right, so
they can have it as far as I'm concerned. They can keep it, and I don't ever have to see it again.
Except there's pieces of it that they need for other things. Because if you're going to do Legacy, for example, you got to do. But even then, if you're going to sell like DVDs, if you're going to sell
for Legacy, you need Picard season 3. Is that what you're trying to?
Of that. Yeah.
Screw that. I don't care about any of it. Keep it. Keep it. I don't give a shit about any of that. You know what? I like the idea at the time of Legacy if they would have gone through with it, but I don't give a shit. Take it. Delete Picard season 3. Delete everything. Take anything that Kurtzman did and flush it down the toilet. Tell me now that the last thing that was Star Trek was Enterprise, and fix that final episode of Enterprise so that it's not, Riker playing with a holodeck. It's say that was actually him just doing a simulation. Show us the real events of what happened there, and Trip is still alive. Fix that shit and do whatever you want. And I never want to see Kurtzman or his stupid crap again.
Yeah, well, I kind of have to agree.
Well, and I do too. But the other thing is that in terms of the license for Star Trek, and this has been something that has been the case since Paramount and CBS got split so many years ago under Redstone, and then when they merged it all together. The film rights have been living with Paramount Pictures, and the TV rights have been living with CBS. And they're different packages. They're different rights packages. So now you have the streaming packages that are tied up, with Kurtzman Trek. Basically, the idea is you want to get all of the ownership, all of the rights back in-house. And it's not necessarily we want to keep Kurtzman Trek and do something with it. It's we want to keep it so we can keep it from getting out, so Kurtzman can't do anything with it.
Can they just buy him out? That jerk off? Can we just buy him out?
That's part of it. This new deal, because they were going to give him a first look deal early January. Then Academy dropped like a rock, failed miserably.
Indeed.
Originally, they were supposed to have this meeting he's been talking about. He hasn't had with David Ellison. He was supposed to do all of this at the end of season 1. He got pulled into the principal's office the second week that the show, when the third episode happened, January 21st or so, is when we think Ellison saw the numbers and said, "Oh, this crap isn't going to fly." And that's when he had the meeting with the advertising people and said, "We're going to reset the whole thing. Not just Star Trek, but all of the legacy IPs that Paramount owns. Ninja Turtles, SpongeBob, everything. Not just Star Trek." But in this particular thing, he's greenlit 2 movies for 2028 to reset Star Trek. Now, the meeting with Kurtzman said, "You got to fix this. We're pulling this deal off the table." Now what we're hearing, and Tachyon Post reported this, I get told this, the offer now is first look deal. And for those who are not familiar, a first look deal basically says Kurtzman pitches to CBS first. They can green light it and go into production, or they can pass. He can shop it around to somebody else. It doesn't mean that automatically they do new shows. It just means that he can pitch CBS. He's got to do them first. They say yes or no, he goes to other places. This offer now is you're going to get a first look deal. We'll give you some cash, buy out some stuff. All of the rights that you own, the partial ownership that you have for the Star Trek stuff you've developed, all of those rights get surrendered back to CBS. And I think that's the key element in all of it, because this is one of those take it or leave it. You could do this the easy way, or we go into arbitration and sue you for negligence, malpractice, whatever fiduciary. They actually have threatened him.
Yeah. We sue you for throwing away several $100 million on 2 seasons of garbage.
Yeah, all of this stuff. So, but yet, no, Istophobes, this contract is such a weird thing. It's not a licensing contract. He doesn't have a license to make Star Trek. Moonves set this up to screw CBS.
Moonves was very hands-on, from what I recall.
Yeah, and this I cannot.
I don't think anybody understood the joke.
I can't. Well, I can't fathom anybody at CBS agreeing to this contract. I mean, legal would look at that and have all sorts of kittens over this thing. I don't know how they managed to do it, but
Istophobos says that Kurtzman can't pitch Trek to anyone else, and I agree with that.
No, he can't.
But the stuff that he's got, they want to get all of the ownership back to, because again, all of the rights have been split in 6 dozen different directions, and they want to get it all in the same place. They want to get it all back in house because it's a legal hassle. It's a headache and a half to figure out who owns the rights to what. Because if the film rights are over at Paramount and the TV rights are at CBS, you might have this really popular thing on the TV side that you don't have the rights to use in the film side. They want to get all of that stuff consolidated. And so it's all one Star Trek. The rights to Star Trek have been a huge mess for years. And it's a lot of it has to do with CBS, Paramount, the Desilu stuff that happened, because going all the way back to the original series, Desilu was the production company that made Star Trek, and NBC paid them for distribution rights for the show. Desilu went under. They went in the red because they were spending so much money because Star Trek was always over budget. So was Mission Impossible. They were doing both of those at Desilu. And then they had Mannix that came in after that. And they were losing money hand over fist. And so Lucy ended up having to sell Desilu to Gulf and Western, which owned Paramount. Paramount, a Gulf and Western company. You know that.
The good old days, yeah.
Yeah, and then at some point, Paramount, CBS, all of that, Viacom owns CBS Paramount, which means now Viacom owns Star Trek. And the film side on Paramount Pictures, the TV on CBS, and it's just a weird split. And they're trying to get all of that back together.
I would do this. I would, if I had Kurtzman, in my office, I'd tell him, listen, asshole, I don't give a shit what happens to your shows. I don't care if nobody ever sees them again. They are a piece of garbage. You either take this check now and fuck off, or I'm removing it from the platform and you can't do any Star Trek anywhere else. And instead of your stupid publicists telling everybody how great you are and how awesome you are with your shitty shows, I'm going to go out and say that you suck, that you're a loser, and your shows are crap. And that's what I would do if I was David Ellison. And then I tell you... that would be my way to handle this jerk off.
Well, yeah, except Hollywood doesn't work that way, unfortunately.
Of course, I know it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. I've done some, in my past, I've done some work in the entertainment industry, and I realize it doesn't work that way. But you know what? The amount of bullshit with these fluffy articles and these publicists spinning this thing with Kurtzman as some big success and how great he is with the second season. This is the only time I saw another effort like this was with maybe Leslie Headland and the Acolyte, that they kept trying to make it seem like she did such great things, but she's not going to get another season. No, when something is shitty, then it's shitty. Stop. And I see all the people, the narrative, all these terrible Istanphobes and right-wingers, they've ruined it for everybody. They didn't ruin it for everybody. The people that you thought you were courting refused to watch this show. It was so bad, and nobody wanted to watch it. And the parallels to the Acolyte are very, very apropos here, because the Acolyte, when it got canceled, everybody, clutched their pearls. Oh, terrible. Istophobes killed it, review bombs, blah, 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 blah. And all of us in the commentariat sector had sat there and said, nobody's watching the show. It's really expensive. It's a terrible show. It's badly written. But, all of the craft stuff. It didn't have anything to do with race or gender or anything. It was like, this is a bad show. And about 4 or 5 months later, Disney Vice President Alan Bergman confirmed that the reason we didn't get Acolyte season 2 because it was too expensive and nobody was watching it. And everybody went, we told you. And I think this is going to be the same thing here. Nobody's watching it. It's not charting on the Nielsen's. It's not staying in the Paramount Plus top 10. And it's super expensive. And when we get 4, 5, 6 months out from here, we will find out the same thing about Starfleet Academy that we found out about Acolyte. Too expensive. Nobody's watching it. It's obvious. The YouTube thing was very telling, and that was the one thing that I did, call them out on it. They removed that YouTube video because it was an embarrassment. Imagine giving a show away for free and only 1,300 people show up for the premiere, and then over like weeks it only gathers like 200,000. That is embarrassing.
Well, and the prevailing theory among some of us who have been talking about it is that you have to remember too that Skydance didn't take over Paramount until August 7th of last year. So all of this was already in place prior to David Ellison and Skydance.
Right. There were stupid people there before, for sure.
Yes. Now, you get to January when Starfleet Academy drops. They put the first episode on YouTube, and the prevailing theory among a number of us is that they left it up with the comments on so they could collect that data and use it against Kurtzman and sit there and say, nobody likes it, nobody's watching it. You can bet that they looked at the Spock thing that Nerdrotic did.
They couldn't miss it. It was already on like Fox News,
And I think that they left that episode up on purpose for as long as they did so that they could collect the data on how many dislikes it had versus likes, how many comments. They left the comments open.
Oh,
all of it went negative. And everybody was like, why in the world would they leave the comments on? I think they were told to do that.
I know exactly why. Yeah. They were collecting those comments and they were doing sentiment analysis on that stuff to be able to say, oh, hey, look, we data mine the hell out of this. You want to see what kind of data we got? Here's what we got.
Yeah,
you want to see what kind of words people were using to describe this show?
Not only that.
It was probably discussed in the meeting when they pulled Kurtzman onto the carpet the next week.
Well, they could also tell him, listen, we gave it away for free. 1,300 people showed up, and then over the course of a few weeks, only a few 100,000 showed up. Yeah. None of them liked it, and they were all making fun of it in the comments. The comments was like the craziest thing that ever happened, that comment section. I want to see David Ellison's face when he like looks at like a summary of those comments. I wish I had a camera of that.
Well, and Ellison's a big Star Trek fan. And
I've been told that, yeah.
For him to be doing this, I'm sure that he is chomping at the bit to reset Trek, because Trek is a cash cow if it's handled correctly. And that that's not just the TV. You could sell advertising, especially if you put it on CBS. Whatever the next TV show is for Star Trek, it needs to be on linear broadcast. It needs to be on CBS first, so you could sell advertising in the network and at the local affiliate level, so everybody makes some money on Star Trek. Then you move it to Paramount Plus as the archive, as the library copy. But in any case, the only way that you can make money is to do it that way, because you can't just sit there and go, oh, well, we're just going to make the TV show, we're going to put it on this on the streaming service, because right now you're looking at Paramount Plus, HBO Max, BET Plus, all of it getting combined somehow. And we have no idea what the streaming thing is going to look like, because if Paramount gets Warner Brothers, what is that going to do? There's this whole mess that's coming. But I think Ellison wants to clear the decks for Star Trek so he can get that out of the way before all of this other stuff, the regulatory stuff that he's got to hassle with obtaining Warner Brothers, if he's allowed to do that.
Well, I saw your comment. Mages Guild. Sorry, I meant Mages Guild. He gave a super chat for $5, and he wrote, "I wrote an article on this trash. You all should give it a read. I am living in hope that Academy Season 2 gets Batgirled. Season 1 deserves being willowed." Now, my feeling is that if they're trying to nicely work something out with Alex Kurtzman, maybe they will show Season 2. I always speculated that they may do an Echo and dump it in one day, or maybe their agreement is that they have to show it week by week and do the same stupid thing or whatever it is. I can tell that CBS is trying to somehow, and Paramount, they're trying to somehow play ball with Kurtzman, because in that Variety article, they made a statement about how great Alex Kurtzman is. And my feeling is, I don't think that they think he's great. I think that they prefer to end things amicably with him, where they get, like you said, they find some kind of path where he gets a first look deal. He lets go of the rights. He walks away with money. They can keep whatever shit he made, even though it's not worth anything. And and that way, they don't have to deal with it later. And I feel like some of it is also to help him save face here, even though we all know he's a bum and a loser.
Well, I think there's some of that, and I think also too. I mean, he was part of the Hawaii Five-0 revival. He's not a complete failure all the way around. I mean, he's hit and miss. But
okay. I have to
Trek
say something. The Hawaii Five-0 revival, and this is without Googling. I vaguely recall that there was a guy called Peter Lenkov, who was like the chief guy involved in that. Also, that Roberto Orci was also
Roberto
involved.
Orci was his
He
writing
was
partner.
usually, to be quite honest, whether you like what he did or not, he was the more talented out of him and Kurtzman. He passed away. So
Yeah, no
between
question about
Lenkov, Orci, and Kurtzman, it was another one of those cases, and Kurtzman is brilliant at this. He always latches on to some team of people doing something, and when all is said and done, his contribution is usually minimal. So Lenkov was the showrunner. Orci was the one that actually could write something at least, and Kurtzman was like the biggest bum. And I don't think anything has changed. Once he got to be in charge of Star Trek, you could see that it was a Kathleen Kennedy situation in that sense. Although I can't believe I'm going to say it, I rate Kathleen Kennedy above Alex Kurtzman. At least she was fourth fiddle on some serious productions, even though she's not a creative person and she doesn't know what she's doing. Kurtzman is not a creative person, and the best thing he ever did was he was like third fiddle on the Hawaii Five-0 reboot, which between you and me, come on, man.
Well, and the parallels with Kennedy. I've been fielding comments most of the day here. It's like, this is the 1,000th time we've heard that Kurtzman's on the way out. It's just like with Kathleen Kennedy. This is a little bit different scenario because it has not been 12,000 years and no reporting. We've got the trades yesterday all confirming that season 2 is the end for Academy. That's the beginning of this.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you look at Kurtzman's letter, it's been such an honor. It's been such a privilege. I said, that's an exit letter.
Mm-hmm.
That's a goodbye letter that he just wrote. And, the pats on the back and we're all happy with the effort that Alex has made. Yeah, it's saving face. It's political theater in Hollywood. They do this kind of thing all the time. And the stuff that they've been talking about, we had the cliffhanger on season 2. We've got all these ideas for season 3 and 4 and 5. That's an attempt before the cancellation was officially reported. They're making the attempt to pressure the studio by telling the fans that we have all of these ideas, and so the fans can pressure the studio to give us more, which is what they were trying to do with the Acolyte. And when Star Wars Celebration was going on, the expectation there was that Kathleen Kennedy was retirement. And instead, she throws Disney over a barrel and said, "Hey, we're going to do a Rey movie." I mean, that was not part of the plan, according to everybody that knew what the plan was.
No, she was just trying to stick it to them at that point.
Exactly.
Nobody thought that stupid Rey movie would ever get made, and we still don't think that.
And Daisy Ridley didn't know about it until that morning.
Mm-hmm.
She said so in interviews. She was like, "Okay, yeah, we'll do it." But it's that same kind of thing. We're going to put all of this stuff out there, all of this material. We're going to release all of this stuff. We're going to do all these interviews and stuff in order to put pressure on the studio to keep it going so we still have work. It's not going to work. It failed spectacularly. But the new contract, whatever they offer Kurtzman, if he takes it, and I'm assuming he will, immediately supersedes the one that's going to expire in August.
I see. I really hope that they manage to do that. I still think that in this case, Alex Kurtzman is getting off way too easy.
Yeah. But if all of the rights come back, then they can bury it proper. They don't have any.
He gets off a lot,
ends.
But in this case, he'll get off way too easy.
Yeah, they don't have any. Well, see, the thing about it is, though,
again, Mikey,
with with Discovery and Picard, well, with Discovery and Prodigy, Secret Hideout screwed Netflix. Netflix put in money for those shows, didn't see a return on that investment, and we don't want to work with Alex Kurtzman ever again, says Netflix. Amazon got screwed over Picard. Same kind of thing. We're going to put money into this thing. And this goes back to the contract. If I can find somebody that will pay for distribution, we can make the show. So they convinced Amazon to finance the first season or two of Picard. Failed spectacularly, didn't get enough people watching. Amazon said, "Screw you, Kurtzman. We're not going to do a deal anymore." So
it's funny how everybody
Netflix
told him to screw himself.
Amazon's burned. So he's not looking. And Universal, he burned that bridge with Universal years ago. Yes. Nobody wants to work with him.
I do want to say this before I forget. Some people got here through links on my other social media. Just so you know, the stream that you're watching, some people know me from my reviews channel. This is a live stream channel. So if you're watching this, make sure you're subscribed to this channel because it's a different channel than the other channel. And there was a link in the other channel that brought you to this channel. I don't know if that made any sense, but I hope that I explained it in the best possible way. In terms of Kurtzman, I mean, I thought that J.J. Abrams, I always say that he's like the Hamburglar of Hollywood. I think that Kurtzman is like another level of like, heist man. I always say that. I say that to the professor that, like, in history, sometimes they talk about big heists, like the Great Train Robbery, the Lufthansa heist, all these kind of things like in Goodfellas. And I always say that Alex Kurtzman, with the money that he got out of Paramount, that is one of the biggest heists ever. When you do like a top 100 heist, he has to be in the heists. You know what I mean? Like, this man is the biggest, like, Billy the Kid is nothing next to like Alex Kurtzman. He just like goes into studios, just like takes like hundreds of millions of dollars in them and runs away. I don't know how he did it. I don't know. And the final thing that I want to say is that Peter Lenkov and I, the guy from the Hawaii Five-0, I actually once emailed him. And I pitched him an idea, and I was hoping that he would be receptive. And he seemed nice enough in the email, but then he didn't do what I asked. So I'm not bitter or anything.
Yeah,
I'm not bitter that Peter Lenkov. And then afterwards, like maybe a year or two later, it turns out that there was like a big scandal against him. So then, like, even like, CBS at the time fired him. Not that I wish for people to get fired. I didn't wish that upon him, even though he didn't help me and he didn't take my idea. I guess he was fired and never to be seen again. Now, like, he can't go out in public or something like that.
Well, and it's Hollywood is you are the golden boy until you're not.
That's true.
You're in the favor until you're not, and you do something that completely screws up that relationship. Nobody wants to work with you. You're never going to work in this town again, type of thing. And I'm sure Kurtzman is trying to mitigate some of that. He's trying to minimize the damage to his own reputation going out. I mean, that's already been done. He probably at some point will be able to recover. But if you look at what's going on with J.J. Abrams right now,
he hasn't recovered.
Abrams has not recovered. So because he had this $250 million development deal exclusive at Warner Brothers at one point, and that ended up getting reduced and modified into a first look deal with Warner Brothers that was not exclusive, the same kind of thing. And Abrams hasn't been able to produce anything. I mean, Bad Robot's only put out 2 or 3 different things. Demimonda, which is a series that got canceled after the first year. I don't know. Yeah, his Superman thing is dead. The one that he was doing with Ta-Nehisi Coates, that one's dead. The Black Superman project. I don't know what Abrams is working on right now. I think Bad Robot as a production company has a couple of series in the works, but
you know what annoys me though? I'm going to be honest with you. You know what annoys me? That both Kurtzman and J.J. Abrams, they're both walking out of this situation with like hundreds of millions of dollars. J.J. Abrams has a net worth of like $300 million. I see Jill is here, but her mic is off.
Well, and you know, and some people in the chat, hey, Arjen, I'm good to see you. Istophobus is talking about the contract. If you go over to Tachyon Pulse podcast, Jay had somebody who saw the contract and gave those details to him. So he's got a video from, I don't know,
I feel bad.
9
I'm
months
always
ago.
discrediting the guy. If you say he's legit, I mean, to me, his videos just seem like a bunch of sensational nonsense usually. But
Well, I mean, everybody's hit and miss, right? You know, I get told, and I have to qualify the stuff that I get told too, because I was like, I can't confirm any of it. It's a rumor, and he does the same
Jill
thing.
here? Let me see. Can you hear me, Jill?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I can hear you. We're so happy you're here, Jill.
Hey, Jill.
Great. I'm having a good time listening to this because I may get what I want for Christmas this year, which definitely would be that Kurtzman cannot make Star Trek anymore. and it's not
Right. No,
like you
he's
guys are
done.
saying. You guys are saying I don't want anybody to lose their jobs. I hope they can make something else, just not this.
No, with Kurtzman,
Sure.
I don't care. It's like with J.J. Abrams, Kurtzman will never have to work again. So I don't care if he saves face or not. None of this matters to me. As far as I'm concerned, Kurtzman should never work again, and I don't have an issue. He can take his $100 million and fuck off. Sorry, Sean. It's true, though.
Yeah,
Like,
no, as Jason has said, he's burned his bridges just about everywhere.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of studios that are interested in working with him anymore. He may just be in that position where he doesn't have a lot of opportunities to produce anything anymore. So,
Well, and I think he's going to follow the same route that Taika Waititi did and that Rian Johnson did, because Rian Johnson, after The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson couldn't work anywhere. He had the Knives Out thing. He was going to go, he went and did that. Taika Waititi, after Thor: Love and Thunder, he just whoosh disappeared, gone. You couldn't see he wasn't doing anything. And then we got this rumor that he had a script in development to revive Judge Dredd. And that got reported in all of the trades. Yeah, he's developing he's putting together this package. He's got the writer, he's got this and that, the other. He's going to do Judge Dredd. Now he's just shopping it around looking for everything. And my speculation at the time was he's fishing for work. He's putting this thing out there to remind people that he can make movies. And what ended up happening is they ended up doing some more What We Do in the Shadows. And he ended up getting some work. But the Dread thing was never going to happen. And Rian Johnson, people keep asking him, well, what are you going to do that today? Oh, I'm really busy with the Knives Out thing. That's fine. You're like, hey, Ryan, go do your Knives Out thing. Are you happy with that? Everybody likes you doing that. Stay over there in your lane. And I think Kurtzman will do the same thing. Abrams probably at some point will do the same thing. Well, they'll start talking up projects to remind people that they are still around in the business, and eventually he'll get work. But there's going to be this cooling off period of, say, 6-8 months to a year where nobody's going to want to work with the guy. And how much those bridges get rebuilt, hard to say.
I hope that nobody ever works with this guy again. I hope he never works. It's fine. He has too much money already. Like, we don't have to feel bad for him. He destroyed one of the best franchises like ever, and he has $100 million. I'm not worried about the guy. I think that it's only fair that we never have to see him again, like, making shows. So Mages Guild sent another super chat here for $5. Alex Kurtzman plagiarized my publications thrice, if not more. He's a talentless hack that keeps getting hired by lunatics. He's Jar Jar Abrams Jr. That's fair. I want to say that Mages Guild said Tachyon Pulse shares some sources with me. He's legit. I will give him more credit if you guys like him so much. Like I said, there have been videos that I've seen of his that seem like it was the sky is blue type of scoop. But if you're saying that sometimes he comes up with things that are more legitimate, I'll pay more attention to it. As Istophobos said, and I agree, I'm not saying he's Mike Zero, but sometimes I feel like he really goes for that kind of clickbait style, a little over the top for me. But you guys like him, I'll pay more attention.
I think some of it also too depends on which source he's getting his information from, because he's got more than one, and he's got a couple of them that are new-ish. People I haven't heard from in a while. I don't hear from this guy very often, but I just heard this, and so sometimes it could be maybe he has a tendency to overhype certain types of stories because Starfleet Academy has been canceled. Alex Kurtzman has been fired. That's much more energetic than, well, we're only going to get 6 episodes of Strange New Worlds season 5 because they cut the order. And, Strange New Worlds season 5, I'm actually surprised they're even going to make that because there's no money. And the way they're doing it in order to finish it, because of the 5 season requirement in the contract, CBS is paying for 2 of the episodes. Secret Hideout is paying for 2 of the episodes, and I think Paramount's paying for 2. They're dividing all of that up, but Starfleet Academy money, season 2 money went to go fix season 1. I was like, where are you guys getting all this money that you're going to spend on finishing this stuff? There's only so much in the coffers.
Yeah, they're all just going to be
supply of cash here. You're going to run into some trouble.
They're just going to be bottle shows with puppets.
Yeah,
that's that's the only way to do it. Don't have to pay the actors.
Yeah. So I guess Jill, I want to hear more from Jill because I'm so happy that she joined us. What else? What else do you think about this whole situation? Were you happy to hear that Starfleet Academy was canceled?
Yes, I think I already knew that it was only going to get 2 seasons, but to hear it officially announced definitely lends credence to the possibility that this is the beginning of the end, because that definitely hurts whatever Kurtzman had planned, all his excitement, saying he just got the Saturn Award, and he probably thought that would get him some pull to get a better contract or something.
Well, let's clarify that for a second, because Kurtzman accepted the award, but the award, it was the Saturn Legacy Award for Star Trek.
Right.
See, it wasn't Kurtzman winning the award. He just happened to be up there because he's the current producer of the stuff that's getting made now.
Right.
And a lot of people sit there and go, well, why does Alex Kurtzman get an award? Star Trek got the award. Because I keep hearing Alex Kurtzman got this award.
We understand that, but the media really enjoyed showing him in a positive light. The media loves his stuff. Like they'll give any show he makes, the more woke he makes it, for lack of a better word, the more points they'll get. If you go to Rotten Tomatoes, probably that Starfleet Academy is like in the high 80s or something, or 90s. I don't know what.
87%, I think, on the critics.
It's the best show that they've ever seen. All those Hollywood critics, they've never seen a better show. It's like The Sopranos and Starfleet Academy for these guys. Yeah. And basically, the only reason they're doing it is because they like the agenda that he's peddling, and they want to present him in a positive light. And they were probably hopeful that they'll try to do that. Same with Kathleen Kennedy, that they'll try to do that thing, and it'll give him like more leeway or more staying power. But I don't think any of that works. And Alex Kurtzman, even Kathleen Kennedy, which again is a miserable failure, she could pretend that she made money with The Force Awakens, some of those early movies or something, The Mandalorian, which wasn't her, but she could still try to pretend that there were a few seemingly successes under her tenure. What can Alex Kurtzman boast? Nothing. Nothing. Single thing that he did. Discovery annoyed Netflix and whatever. Everybody was involved. Nobody wanted it. They didn't want to show it anymore. Picard, Amazon were like, this is garbage. We don't want it. Everybody that he had any interaction with came to the same conclusion. He's a loser, a hack, and a creative con man, and they wanted nothing to do with him. So, yeah.
Well, and he even said in an interview back, I want to say in about 2021, Critical Drinker ran a clip that I think Nerdrotic got a hold of, where he's basically sitting there going,
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter and Me Too and all these different things. It's not about making Star Trek. It's about using Star Trek as a platform to tell the stories that we want to tell the messages that we want to tell. He's admitted outright that he's an activist wearing Star Trek as a skin suit. And Jill, I didn't mean to cut you off on the Saturn Award stuff, but yeah,
You're right. I'm glad you made that correction because that is a big relief to me. I lost a lot of respect for the Saturn Awards when I saw that. I am much happier to know that the award goes directly to Star Trek itself, and he was just taking credit for it.
Yeah.
And the way that speech was rendered, he made it sound like he had
oh,
something to do with it.
I mean, and I don't know if Istophobos is a troll or not. Look, the way this journalism thing works, we protect our sources. I'm not going to sit there and say, well, so and so, such and such and stuff, because then you lose those sources. I mean, why that's an unreasonable sit there. Well, tell us who you're talking to. The information that I'm getting has so far proven to be accurate. That I stand by my report, and Jay over at Tachyon Post probably would say the same thing. I don't have to name my source. I don't have to identify who I'm talking to. My information has proven to be correct.
I'll tell you, I think
in the months that we have had this contact.
I can help. I think I can help. Cool the air here. I think that the problem is you have never created an impression that you're doing all this like National Enquirer sensational stuff. You're not releasing a video every second with the most sensational things and like all like all in on that stuff. So I think that if you suddenly say, "Hey, I know a guy and he said some things to me, and this is what I heard," I think people take that a little more seriously. When it comes to like, and a lot of people like that Tachyon Pulse guy. I don't really know the guy, but I'm saying that in his case, there's so much kind of National Enquirer sensationalism around it, and a lot of these stories that he tells, in my opinion, are not from any. I'm going to choose my word carefully. I'm not sure that all of his videos that he says that he just scooped the most sensational thing ever is from the most reliable source. And I'm being very, very kind here. Does he maybe know one guy? Maybe he saw something on Reddit. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that sometimes people do. Maybe he read a rumor somewhere. There's a lot of things going on online. When a guy has a lot of sensational National Enquirer stuff, it kind of makes his credibility a little wobbly. And I think that that's stuff that I ran into, that even if you look now at like prior stories and thumbnails of his track record isn't fantastic. There's a lot of stuff that he just like says stuff there that he has like the. What was that?
What was I didn't hear anything. You just
I
stopped
just
talking.
heard the drinker talking.
Oh, sorry. I have a shared tab and I accidentally bumped the video. Sorry.
Well, it was Alex Kurtzman. That was the part that he's talking about Black Lives Matter.
I was pulling that up because we were talking about it. So
awesome. So we can see that in a second. So yeah, that's actually good. I can't believe I knew everything. Like I was able to analyze everything going on. But I got it. I got what you were doing.
You got it all.
So like I said,
I think Tachyon Pulse, yes, he sometimes uses some tabloid sensational type of language.
Not only language, not all of his reports. Some of his reports are sensational, and seemingly either the source is very wobbly. And I'm being very kind by saying that.
Yeah.
Now, once in a while, could he have stumbled and read it in a rumor or even heard from a guy that maybe he knows? Maybe it's possible. It's just when you do a lot of that other stuff, it kind of creates sort of problematic credibility. I will say, of course, I don't know the guy. I don't have anything against him. And yes, on YouTube, you could also create a National Enquirer channel. You could just say whatever you want. And just even if it's just from your mind and you just say, I have a source and I believe this and this and happening, you can do that. You're allowed to do that. It's just that when I see later that publications more independent are now like, or even others are relying on this guy, treating like, whatever this guy said as gospel, that's where it starts becoming a little strange. And I'll say one final thing to you. There was something that I looked at a lot of facts and I came to a conclusion based on actual evidence. And I said, this is my analysis as a guy, I did in the past work in entertainment. I'm not like the president of I'm not some big shot, but I worked enough to come up with some interesting conclusions. And I reached out to one one of those kind of, independent publications, not going to say who it is. And I said, hey, look at what's happening, this. And I also showed my track record, how in the past I analyzed things that were true. And then the person told me something like, can you say, is there a source? Meaning, if I would have said that like some secret deep throat guy called me in some parking lot and told me some shit and gave them the same information that I just gave them, that would have been an article. But because I wouldn't go that extra step and say the deep throat called me, Sparrow or whatever you want to say, like nobody called me in some alley to whisper in my ear this shit, then they wouldn't print it. Do you get what I'm trying to say? And
Sure.
I don't love the idea that perhaps somebody would say they had a source if they didn't. Now, I'm not saying that all of his, maybe he does have sources. I'm just saying that I'm not sure that all of the things are. You know what I mean?
And he has said in a couple of times that some of his sources are a little bit more solid than others, and all of the stuff that's rumor, he's generally pretty good about identifying rumor, and not all of we're not all none of us are going to have 100% track record. We're going to get told something and then it turns into something else. I mean, Jay was saying that he was hearing that there was a possibility of a season 3 for Starfleet Academy last weekend before all of this dropped. And what I got told is that Kurtzman was asking for a season 3 as part of his negotiation.
Exactly. You just hit the nail on the head. Hit the nail on the head, because what happened was, and I said this to the professor once this happened, Kurtzman went out and said, hey, I want to talk to David Ellison about another season of Starfleet Academy. Immediately, he has this sensational video. Maybe there's another season of Starfleet Academy. It's like, that's the Captain Obvious situation. Like, I can make a video like that too. I can say, man, season 3 is on its way. Alex Kurtzman said, and I've already been hearing some things, and I could say that shit too. You know what I mean? It's just, it's fine. Listen, like I said, it's not nice of me. I shouldn't knock his hustle. If he wants to do a channel that he says all that sensational stuff, it's supply and demand. There's people that like it. He's well within his right to do it.
Sure.
And he's not doing anything wrong. But
and let me be clear. I don't have any connection to the guy. I don't have any vested interest in him. But he didn't sit there and say we're getting season 3. He said there was a rumor that they were talking about it, which is exactly what we heard. And the other stuff, as far as like, I'm seeing the back and forth on the rights thing. Tachyon Pulse had a report on the contract. Midnight's Edge has talked about it. We've talked about it. My source, which is separate and independent from what Jay's got, has talked about some of the rights mess and the issues of who owns what.
Yeah, this has been going on for years. I mean, I no disrespect. Maybe he heard from a source. Maybe he has a source and he heard something. But I can say, for honestly, you're right. Midnight's Edge have been talking about this contract for years. There's been reports and things about this contract for years. Did he hear also about the contract? Sure, it's possible. And again, I want to make it clear, he's not doing anything wrong. And if you like his videos, it's cool too. And like I said, there's a guy called Mike Zero. He has like 600,000 followers.
Black Lives
Matter. Sorry, Professor, you can play that. Let's hear what this guy has to say, what Alex Kurtzman is saying.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was trying to resize my window when I clicked. YouTube now, if you click anywhere on the video, it plays. There we go.
Matter, the NAACP. The goal is not really to promote Star Trek, but to promote these organizations and to use our platform to be able to bring greater awareness to these very, very important messages and places.
Honestly.
Yeah.
And that is why it's very good that there is no Star Trek in production for the first time in 10 years.
Yep. I'm fine with that. I'm completely fine with it if it takes a nap for a little while, takes a little rest. I'm fine with that too. I know that right now that's pretty heavily rumored, and Jason, you mentioned it, that there's going to be a couple of movies perhaps that are going to be focused on trying to reboot Star Trek, kick Star Trek back into gear, perhaps reset things back to after Enterprise or something like that.
The Goldstein Daily movie is, I think, 5-ish years. It's set after Nemesis, and it's in the prime timeline. That stuff we know. The other movie, I haven't heard anything about other than Ellison is greenlit. 2 movies for 2028. But yeah, 2028 is when we get those. So when they drop, they'll probably drop season 4 of Strange New Worlds around June. They may do season 4, season 5 back to back, just get it all done and get it out of the way. So 2026, we'll get all of it. It'll air. Season 2 of Starfleet Academy is at the end of the year. And that way, Star Trek is completely dark in 2027, which is perfectly fine because everybody's going to be talking about the 50th anniversary of Star Wars in 2027. So
yes.
to do. Let's get that. 2028, we come back, hey, huzzah, we got 2 brand new Star Trek movies that have nothing to do with anything that's been on the air for the last 10 years. You have that TV gap. After that, after those movies, then you could go back into TV.
Yeah. See, that's for me. I mean, I wonder why movies for me, because personally, Star Trek belongs on TV.
Yeah.
It belongs episodic. It needs to be a television show. It should be, I've said this before, on here or maybe on another channel, but I feel like they really want to try to make Star Trek some kind of adventure action feature kind of a thing. And it's really, it has a lot more in common with, say, a Twilight Zone or an Outer Limits than it does Star Wars, right? It's really, when Star Trek's been at its best, it's about exploring those ideas. It's about exploring human nature and exploring our relationship, with other societies. It's about exploring different ideas. It's not about punching and kicking and action set pieces.
Well, I think Star Trek 2 gave us the lesson that it could be an action adventure type of thing. And, you had the pew pew shoot 'em ups after that. Star Trek the Motion Picture happened because Star Wars happened.
Yeah.
Because originally, like everybody knows the lore, it was going to be a new TV series called Phase 2.
Yep.
And then it was going to be a TV movie, and then it was a series, and then it was a TV movie, and then it was a series, and then Star Wars happened, and it was going to be a now major motion picture. And all of that. But Star Trek 2 was made by Paramount's television division. And I don't know how many people are aware of that. Harv Bennett, who was producer of Mod Squad, he was handed Star Trek in the television division to manage the budget. You only have this much money to spend, Harv. It's all yours. Go do it. And because the Phase 2 money got rolled into the budget for motion picture, they said, God, this is a god awful expensive movie. And it kind of was, but it wasn't really.
Mm-hmm.
That was an accounting thing. But television made Star Trek 2. And, again, we get into the rights thing of who's got what. Paramount Pictures, Paramount Television, CBS Television. So for this to work, if they're going to go back and do a movie or two, you do something like Project Hail Mary. Where it's got humor, it's got pathos, it's got stakes. And, there's an encounter with an alien and you got to learn how to understand things, whatever. And
what's the last?
I think Lord Miller should do a Star Trek movie.
I have a quick question for you.
Project Hail Mary.
First of all, Lasher 5520 Midnight's Edge did go into the contract details a couple of years ago. I will say this. I think that from what I've seen to date, the work that Midnight's Edge over the years have done has been far more consistent and stable than, some of these other kind of sensational reports. I feel like for a number of years now, they really went very deep into the research on that. And I think that they've had some fine reports on it, just my 2 cents. The other thing I wanted to say is we had some super chats and I don't want to forget them. First of all, we had the Dead Man, which I don't think we showed this yet. Late to the party, and this is for $19.99. Thank you, the Dead Man, friend of the channel. He has his own channel about Star Trek, so you should check that out. The Dead Man 79, you can check out his Star Trek channel. Late to the party, thoughts on Project Hail Mary. My thought, it reminded me of Interstellar. Sci-fi for me, you just were talking about it, so that's why I thought it would be good to bring it up. I liked it but didn't love it, but the more I think of it, the more I like it. Sci-fi makes you think, it doesn't tell you what to think. So personally, I'll give you my opinion, and I actually made a video. I was just so then sidetracked with this whole Starfleet Academy that I made a different video and uploaded it, but I have another video that I need to upload about Project Hail Mary that I agree. I thought that it was a pretty good movie that could have been a very good or excellent movie with some tweaking, but I still enjoyed it. And compared to a lot of other crap that we've been seeing in recent years, it was definitely an enjoyable sci-fi movie. Not perfect, but enjoyable for me. Sci-fi for me. What did you think about it?
I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. I've seen it twice now. I think the big thing for me, the challenge is always in when you're doing an adaptation, how much can you put in there and how much do you have to cut out? And I know a lot of this, I've seen discussion, a lot of the science got pulled, but ultimately, even if it's science fiction, and this goes back, you could go back to the original series of Star Trek. A lot of the memos that are back and forth between the producers and the network and all that, it's Roddenberry kept emphasizing and reminding people, we're not a science fiction show, we're a human drama show set in space, basically, and tried to get the science fiction in a secondary position to the characters in the show. Project Hail Mary does that same thing. You're focused on Grace and Rocky out in the ship, and all of the stuff that happens back when they were getting the mission prepped with the people on Earth. And it's very much a human character centric story that happens to be set in space. And I think that's the kind of sensibility that you need for Star Trek as well, is you're focused on, because Star Trek was about Kirk, Spock, and McCoy. It was about their relationship and the friendship that they had, and everything is built around that thing. And with the Next Generation, it's that ensemble of Picard, Data, Riker. There's a core group, and the relationships between those characters is what forms the nucleus of all of the different kind of stories that you can tell. Project Hail Mary does a really good job of that. Is it perfect? No. I mean, it's 2.5 hours. It's a little long, but it doesn't feel long. But everything in there, I mean, the visuals are phenomenal. And the fact that Rocky, for a lot of what we saw, Rocky is an actual physical puppet, is mind-blowing to me. It was like they actually went practical with a lot of the effects. There's no blue screen, there's no green screen, there's minimal CG. Yeah, it's an impressive work all the way around. And the AT&T girl's in it. I mean, come on.
Jill, did you see it?
I saw it. I'm very much with sci-fi for me on this one. Gene Roddenberry was more about, this needs to be very entertaining, because we can make it sci-fi, but if nobody's entertained, they're not going to watch it. So you make it entertaining, you make characters that are compelling and that you care about, and then the sci-fi only adds to that experience, and people who just geek out about that love it. They still, although the sci-fi was still important, they sent memos into the Forest research group and always corrected things, and Project Hail Mary tries to get a lot of the science right too.
You've read These Are the Voyages, haven't you?
I have, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, you've got relativistic physics that is largely accurate. There's a Becky, the astrophysicist on YouTube. She did a whole video about the science in this, and some of it is real science, some of it is science fantasy, and it just is blended together in a beautiful way. And it's about solving problems, cooperation, international cooperation even. So there's nothing more Star Trek.
Yeah.
It's Star Trek in spirit.
Yeah, it's a really good film. As I kind of we did our spoiler free discussion of it last Thursday, Bryce and I, but I also got to talk a little bit on the Mr. Brown Alliance this weekend. I really enjoyed it. It was not an A+ for me just because I felt it was a little too long. They could have trimmed 20 minutes here or there with some stuff that I felt was just extraneous. It just kind of slowed the movie. It bogged things down a little bit where I wanted it to keep chugging along. And overall, I thought they did a good job of translating it from the book. If you read the book, it worked really well. I think you don't move from one media to another without having to sacrifice something. Right.
Yeah.
There's always going to have to be some trimming, especially when you're moving to a film from a book. You can't fit everything in there. So there's always going to be some stuff. I actually laughed when we were in the theaters because there's basically 2 whole chapters of the book dealing with what they discover dealing with the astrophage and their discovery there and how they're going to be able to deal with it, where they spend like 2 whole chapters talking about how they're going to work with this discovery and how they're going to, the breeding chambers and stuff. And literally in the movie, it's like, oh, Rocky made us some breeding chambers, so we're good. And then they just move on. So it's like, wow, okay, well we're just going to skip all of that.
Every movie adaptation has a Tom Bombadil. Right?
Yes.
It's like, where is this piece in the book? Where is it in the movie? And you got to make cuts. You have to make. But I think Drew Goddard did a good job. I have not read the book, so it's on my list. My wife got all 3 of Andy Weir's books, so I'm gonna go back and read them. But I enjoyed it. I really thought it was very well done. Well written. I like all of the characters have depth and dimension to especially what's her name, Strat, the one who recruits him.
Yes,
you could tell it's written all over her face. She's like, I am going to kill a lot of people, but I'm saving the planet. And you see regret in her face. You see worry in her face. She's like, I really don't want to be doing this, but I have to. I'm sorry. And she doesn't back away from the job that she's got to do. And I think that's a strong choice for that character. And she pulls it off really well.
Yeah. And I thought, as someone who did read the book, I found there were really 2 things to me that I was bothered by the changes that they made or the things that they left out from the book. One was specifically some moments with Strat, where she gets to talk to Ryland a bit and kind of lets her shields down a little bit and talks about, what she's doing and what she's expecting, what people think of her. And it's not pretty, but she realizes that someone has to do this. Whatever the consequences are to me, someone has to make these decisions. Someone has to step up to save the world. And I'm going to be sacrificing, parts of myself. I'm going to be doing some really horrible things, but someone has to do it. So there's a wonderful moment there that I was kind of sad that we didn't really get in the film. We got a little bit of it, but not quite the same. And then I was bothered by the change that they made to the ending. It's not a massive change, but the way that it plays out in the book, I felt like it works better in the book than it does in the film. And so that was just a personal taste thing, but overall, it was a really enjoyable movie. I hope you enjoyed it, Dead Man. It's a really good film. Definitely the best thing I've seen this year so far.
Well, yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Even though I had some comments about it, I still think it's a good movie. It's just that I feel like it could have been a great movie or a very good movie, and it's just pretty good. And I've said that a number of times, but pretty good these days. I'll take it. At least it's a nice movie to see in the theater. There was a lot to like about it. And if all the movies that were released this year were on that level, we'd be in a really good place. So I have to appreciate it for what it is as well. Thank you for the chat, for the super chat for 1999, the Dead Man. Again, friend of the channel. Check out his own channel for Star Trek. Thank you very much. There was another thing. There was another, I think somebody else gave super chats. Let's see, we had Mages Guild Academy is the only show that I've given 0 out of 120. That's for $2. Thank you very much. It is an awful show.
Maybe I was just so hurt by Starfleet Academy, but I give this movie an A+. I love it. I think it's wonderful. And I think it's very deeply hopeful, which is something that's very difficult to do in science fiction. Everyone wants to do the pessimism, and we finally get.
Well, certainly if you compare this movie to Starfleet Academy, it's like a 5 million, you know what I mean? Sure. Because the Starfleet Academy is so bad as a starting point. And also, you know, you were saying it's 0 out of 120. In my initial reviews, I actually tried giving it scores at the end, and I think I gave it like a 1 point out of 100. I don't even know why I gave it 1 point. But then after like an episode or two, I wouldn't even give it 1 point. I just stopped giving grades. Like, it's obvious it's not even worthy of a grade. Even not saying like 1 out of 100, I don't want to give it that satisfaction. Like, that point is 1 point too much. So once you then, like you said, Joe, once you watch Project Hail Mary, I mean, that's a breath of fresh air. That's like real science fiction. So yeah, that is obviously much more pleasant, and that is legitimate. It's not like this shitty thing. Sorry, Sean.
Well, Project Hail Mary also is a 4-quadrant film. It's something you can take the kids to see. It's not rated R. It's not, you know, dark, gritty, grim. There's not a lot of, I mean, I don't know why it's PG-13, and except, you know, you've got dead people, but the idea that the sun is being eaten and everybody's going to die in 30 years. I don't know that it necessarily needed to be PG-13. Even you could do it as a PG, but probably
I took my 6-year-old. She didn't complain.
Yeah, I mean, this is something you can take the kids to see, and they still get something out of it because of Rocky. The adults get something out of it. The guys get something out of it because Milana Vaintrub's there, and so it's got something for everybody. And this is the kind of thing that Hollywood will look at, and they will learn the wrong lesson. They absolutely will learn the wrong lesson for Project Hail Mary. What lesson they'll learn? Nah, I couldn't tell you. But they ought to realize that the 4-quadrant movie is not dead, and they ought to be able to sit there and go, you know what? Maybe we could make these movies that the mass audience, the general audience, can come see and enjoy. That's not the lesson they're going to learn. And I think too, the fact that it's a $200 million budget, that kind of hurts too, because Hollywood needs to be making $50 million movies and $30 million movies and $80 million movies. They can't be spending $250 million on every single film they put out.
No, that was a lot of money that they spent on this movie. And honestly, it may be too much money, but I think that this is a movie that I feel like they could have gotten it done for maybe 100, 150 million, 200, and they spent like 250, but they got back 50, some kind of tax credit or something. So apparently they spent 200. 200 is a lot of money. I like the movie. Yeah. It is a lot of money to spend on a movie, though.
Yeah.
It was. They need to make 10, $20 million movies, not one $200 million movie. They've got to get back to making those smaller pictures. You know, make 10 movies, fill the theaters with stuff. Stop trying to, make it out of the year with 1 or 2 big blockbusters every year, and start putting out a lot smaller films. More experimental stuff, more things that, willing to take a chance on it because it doesn't cost $200 million.
Well, and if David Ellison gets his way and Paramount ends up buying Warner Brothers, he has made the commitment of 30 films a year split between the two. So 15 from Paramount, 15 from Warner Brothers. And the only way you do that is to not spend $200 million on each one.
Yeah.
The other thing too, you're looking at this. This is an Amazon movie, Amazon MGM, and Bezos has got deep pockets, and it's entirely possible that they spent 200 because they could, not necessarily because that's how much it had to cost. It's like, well, let's just throw a bunch of money into this because they built the spaceship as a practical set at Shepperton Studios in London, and they shot it. Everything's shot in IMAX and all these different things. But on the flip side of it, you're looking at practical effects and you're looking at visuals that are. I could swear those spaceships are models, not CG. I don't know one way or the other. I haven't seen how they did it, but I'm looking at some of the visuals on this. The spaceship exteriors. I was like, man, that looks like a model. That looks like an actual physical model. It's that good.
Mhm.
And that stuff nowadays probably would be cheaper than doing it CG.
Let's look at a few super chats before I forget, though. We have Jason Webster 9300, $5. Thank you so much. People rejoice throughout the land as Dark Lord Kurtzman's Starfleet Academy was axed. I love stories with happy endings. I mean, I think that a happier ending would be that he would have left years ago and been fired publicly. The fact that they're still trying to kiss his ass and make these kind of deals where he makes even more money on his way out as he's sidelined, and there's still another season that they haven't flushed down the toilet, and he still has 2 seasons of Strange New Worlds. This is all very bad. This is you want to feel that a guy that did so many things wrong actually has some consequences for doing such a poor job. Instead, everybody keeps kind of pussyfooting around him, walking on eggshells, trying to make him look good. And in that sense, it really reminds me of Kathleen Kennedy, and it annoys me. But yeah, I guess we can rejoice a little, but it's not as much as I want to rejoice, Jason. Then we have Tim Hayes, who's been a member for 12 months. That's awesome. Tim Hayes is a friend of the channel, been here, for a very long time, even more than 12 months. I remember even streams that we were doing that he'd be here very early on, and I always appreciate that. Thank you, Tim. Then the Dead Man with another $4.99 super chat. The German bee with the karaoke scene made her seem more human and actually brought me to tears.
Yeah,
that was pretty good. I guess that was a pretty interesting scene. I was kind of surprised that she was singing. Actually, her singing was pretty decent. I mean, I think it's the actress singing, so it's actually kind of surprising.
I bet it was.
It is. She actually has training in vocal.
I see. It sounded professional. That's why I'm like, oh wow, like this. Listen, it back in the day, I don't know if it's like that anymore, but I knew an actor who studied in a really good school or whatever in New York or whatever it is, and I don't know what it was. I showed him something, and I'm like, hey, can you believe it? This person can sing, and he's like, yeah. I mean, you kind of expect. I don't know what it's like in Hollywood now, but I'm saying for a long time, it was expected in Hollywood that if you're like a star, you should probably be able to do a number of things, get vocal training, know how to carry a tune. These were things that were very standard that a lot of talent used to work on. Maybe these days they don't anymore. I don't really know, but it used to be
Disney.
kind of. What did you say?
Disney, it's like Disney kids. You got to act, you got to sing, you got to dance.
Right.
All of them got to be able to do that.
So yeah, and then that's a great comment. Thank you, the Dead Man. And that was a scene that I liked in the movie, and I liked the actress too. I thought she was good in her role. She was a convincing, annoying lady, but if you needed somebody in that role, and I thought she did it well, so I don't have any complaints. I thought she did fine, and so thank you for all these super chats. I hope I didn't miss anything. Let me just look, and again, just. What'd you say?
You got it.
And again, just to clarify, if you've come from one of my other channels or social media, make sure to like and subscribe here, because you may not be subscribed to this channel. Just putting that out there.
And as far as season 2 of Academy actually hitting the air, Cypress tells me there's still 50-50 chance that it doesn't. How strong that actually is, who knows? My guess is they'll go ahead and do it. They'll drop it all at once like they did with Echo at the end of the year.
They'll drop it. They won't promote it for even a moment. It'll appear, and if someone wants to watch it, they'll have to dig for it. Just like I always thought that was hilarious. Literally every time, I was gonna watch one of these episodes. I had to go hunting for it. It wasn't promoted in Paramount Plus at all.
No,
it's going to be the
wasn't.
same. It's going to be the same way with this. It's gonna be buried somewhere in there if it does get released at all.
It reminds me of Doctor Who season 2 with Shooty.
On Disney
you
Plus.
Go to Disney, you'd walk in like the first season when you went into their homepage of Disney Plus. It would be one of the recommendations if there's a new episode. Season 2. Never recommended it. They don't want you to watch it. They wanted you to forget it even existed. And the funniest thing is this: I did this like a video about this when season 2 of Shooty Gatwa Doctor came out. They actually were recommending like a movie by Mel Gibson. And I'm like, this is like you would never believe in a million years. They prefer to recommend Mel Gibson over Shooty Gatwa's Doctor Who. You know that's done. You know what I mean? You know that show is done.
Well, and you talk about announcements and the timing of announcements and whatnot. When we had the Disney deal with Doctor Who, and there was the question, okay, are they going to renew that contract? Because the original deal, Disney Plus gave money to the BBC. They were going to do 4 specials, and then the 2 seasons, and then War Between the Land and the Sea was going to be the first of a series of special spin-off things, right? This whole Hooniverse thing that Davies was trying to do. And they had fulfilled all of that obligation. The War Between the Land and the Sea was the last thing. And we were speculating that we'd get some kind of announcement on whether Disney was going to renew that deal after that series aired. And it didn't happen that way. Disney announced before that show aired that they were not going to renew their contract. They weren't going to, they're pulling out of the deal, which I thought was really interesting because I figured they would wait until after the show was done so they wouldn't hurt the viewing numbers for the show. Same kind of thing here with Starfleet Academy. We have a second season left to go, but it's going to just be that it's done. It's officially been canceled in the trades. Everybody's reporting it. It's all done and signed on the dotted line, which tells me that we are moving toward an exit for Kurtzman sooner rather than later, because they're already sitting there saying, Academy's done. What is there even a point to season 2 then? I'm not even going to get emotionally invested in season 2 because it's done. Why would I even bother to watch it? But I think
normally I would say people want to buy the Blu-rays, but I can't really.
Well,
say that.
see, and that's why I think they went back and said you got to reshoot a series finale, because on the off chance that somebody wants to buy a DVD or a Blu-ray, or if they want to try to get some of their money back, they sell this thing to home video. They can market it as the complete series, and you're not left hanging on a cliffhanger like Stargate Universe was. It's the complete series. It's there, and it was. They got told you are going to reshoot the end of season 2, so it's a series finale. That's why it went past December. They were shooting in January, February because they had to reshoot the end.
There's another reason that I wanted to tell you, and I agree with everything you said. There's something called fast channels. Now, this is something that I can say with my experience in entertainment, that over the past few years, whatever talks I had at different points with networks, including even executives and things like that, this fast channel thing is a big source of income. So what they do is they can create, let's say, a Samsung TV channel, called Starfleet Academy, and they just show those episodes over and over and over again. Now you're thinking they would have a channel and keep showing those two, things over and over again. Yes, they have weird things like that. It's also on Tubi and on Pluto and whatever the fuck those things are. Sorry, Sean. I don't really watch them. But I understand that they're good for some people. You don't pay money, you have commercials, and it's worth it for some people. So they could do a channel and just keep showing you, or they have like a Star Trek channel, and they'll show you that as one of their shows. And for them, if there is a final episode that ties the show together, it's worth it for them to put this in some kind of loop. Maybe somebody will watch it. Now, is it slop? Is it shit? Of course it is. Sorry, Sean. But maybe some suckers, maybe some Gen Z weirdos are going to sit there and somehow get to it, and they just figure maybe somebody, they're trying to cut their losses. I mean, they spent so much money on it. Maybe they can get some money out of something, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think so. And for those of you who don't know, FAST is an acronym that means free ad supported television, which for those of us who are of an age, back in the day, that was watching TV. It's the same kind of thing as linear broadcast. If you're watching CBS, NBC, ABC, that is free ad supported television. It's just not coming over an internet stream. That's the only difference. Is not coming. It's coming through a different pipeline than fiber optic cable or internet or however it's delivered.
Now the length of those ads are about the same as they used to be on terrestrial TV.
Well, and that's where you make your money. And streaming, you're relying on subscriber revenue, and there's a lot of churn. And, there's some people who's like, oh, okay, I'm going to wait until all 10 episodes are out. I'm going to subscribe to the channel. I'm going to watch all 10 episodes, and then I'm going to cancel it because I only want to watch this one show. I don't want to watch all of this other stuff. And you have that churn over and over and over again. The other problem with streaming is that, say, Disney owns, Disney makes a movie. Disney has a Marvel movie. They put it on Disney Plus. Well, the distribution fees, the licensing fees to air the movie on Disney Plus, it gets paid by Disney to Marvel. It's like they're taking it out of the right hand pocket and putting it in the left hand pocket. You're not making any money. You're just moving it. Whereas, if Warner Brothers makes, Warner Brothers has got the Looney Tunes cartoons, and they license those cartoons to Tubi, for example, then Warner Brothers makes money from Tubi paying them for permission to run those shows. And that's where streaming breaks down, because it is a very limited revenue stream in that you only have the subscriber money coming in. Whereas with network, you do,
Mega Geek, are you here?
Yeah.
Oh, we have Mega Geek.
Hey there, Ian.
Hello.
Full house.
It's a full house.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too is we've gone from 8 revenue streams, and now we're at 3. Because back in the day, you had the first run movies, dollar theater or drive-in. Then you had premium cable, HBO, Cinemax. Then you had regular cable. Then you had broadcast network, ABC, CBS. Then you had home video, or video on demand, the scramble channel, video on demand. Then home video. You had like 7 or 8 different revenue streams that you could make money on this one movie. And now you got 3. You got first run movie theater, because all the dollar theaters are gone. First run movie theater, streaming, home video. You're not making any money.
But they don't care. They don't really care about making money, because basically they are tech companies. This is not Hollywood. Yeah. They don't care. They don't care if they have a loss. So it means nothing to them, This is just their hobby, making movies. Amazon. Yeah. You got to admit.
Right.
Yeah. Oh God, how depressing is this? It's so depressing.
Make them kiss.
Yeah. Haven't seen Jill in ages. Jesus. Hello.
Oh yeah. Hey, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Hey, is it Jason? I've never met Jason before. Hello, sir. How are you?
I'm good.
Oh, LA's breaking up.
I tried to invite another person here, but I don't know how it's going to work.
Lordy.
I mean, I hope that it does work. I don't really know. I'm really pushing this to the limit of what we can do here. I don't know if the person I sent saw the invitation, but
yeah, I don't know how many more avatars we can fit on screen.
Hello. Going back to Project Hail Mary, I've been listening to everyone's reviews and stuff like that, and I saw The Drinker yesterday. He was interviewing the author and stuff, and other people like, I cried, and do you know what I mean? And it was really emotional and stuff like that. I have to honestly say, hand on heart, it wasn't like that for me. I thought it was enjoyable. I didn't think it was the best thing since sliced bread, since everybody's talking about it. Then again, the old Ian Brown thing about the cracker, isn't it? So, I'm just amazed how many. It's like people have been starved of entertainment, and when something comes along with no politics, they're hungry and they eat it up. But personally, I just thought the film was okay. It's nowhere near as a classic like E.T. or Close Encounters, or do you know what I mean? Or even 2001, which I really don't like. But that's just my thoughts on it.
I was one of those people who cried about 5 times and laughed even more.
Dear.
I saw a couple of places, but the first time I watched it, especially, I watched it was like, okay, this is where they want me to cry. This is where they want me to cry.
They have those moments,
but I didn't. I could feel this. The music is swelling.
Wait, I just have to welcome another guest. We have Phobos.
Uh-oh.
This is turning into a real full house here. So this is a very special, stream that we have here. We have Ian the Mega Geek. We have Jill. We have Sci-Fi for me and Professor and myself. This is quite a celebration here in Phobos. I love this. What were you saying, Sci-Fi for me? Didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just saying I could recognize what in a couple of places. This is where they're tugging at the heartstrings. They want me to cry, but I didn't. I felt it a little bit more the second time I watched it. But you're right. We are starved for that kind of entertainment. We are starved for those kind of stories that actually do some kind of an emotional hit.
Can you hear me, guys?
We can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. My mouse battery chose the worst time to die. So
well, before it dies, I just want to say the super chat from Mages Guild for $10, which is Disney have yet to air The War Between the Land and the Sea. I was told late March, earliest if at all. I broke in the Doctor Who cancellation news before the finale. What a bloody disaster. I'm going to be honest. I'm in a few groups with people that are very passionate about Doctor Who, and some of them even people that I respect and like. Some of those people seem to watch The War Between the Land and the Sea and thought that it was watchable. I heard even, not the worst things about it from a few people. The truth is, I just didn't feel like watching it. I know that's a terrible thing to say. It's like I have zero tolerance for watching any of this shit now. I can't look at it with a straight face and treat it as though Doctor Who is like a real thing now. Unless somebody comes and does something to fix this situation, I can't make room for the land between the war and the sea. Fuck that. Sorry, Sean.
When I take over in the next couple of years as showrunner of Doctor Who, I'm going to correct everything. Everything.
You should do
everything. Yeah.
Dream crabs.
Dream crabs. That was a very creative idea. Of like, if there was ever a good idea that I had, was the dream crabs, and I think that would be the way to fix that whole situation.
And Price, I built on that idea. Not only do you rip the dream crab off of Capaldi's face, and he makes the joke about even being a girl, because that goes back to Matt, because Matt's pulling at his hair. He's like, "I'm a girl." No, I'm not. Still not Ginger. But he rips you rip the dream crab off. He's like, "Oh, I had this terrible dream." But that experience is so physically traumatic, it triggers the regeneration, right? And we get the new 13 played by Sean Pertwee.
Yeah, no, because that would
brilliant.
Why not?
Yeah, anything's better than the alternative.
3, so let's give him 13.
By the way, did anybody watch Daredevil season 2, episode 1?
No.
Wait, Price. Before you start on this, can I go ahead and sort of out one of my sources? Because
Sure.
I feel pretty strongly about this, and I do have a source.
Okay, go on.
Okay. So over the years, I've cultivated a source. I'm not going to say who it is, but they work at Forbes. And, when a normal news organization, even though, I'm not a big mainstream media fan, when they publish something, they have to have it corroborated with 2 independent sources, not just some guy who calls up and said, I saw Alex Kurtzman's contract. And they said they have not seen, heard, or witnessed any indication that Alex Kurtzman has ever been ceded any rights to Star Trek. Yes, Midnight's Edge talked all about the contracts, but they never said that. It was about licensing deals. It was about money. Script Doctor agrees. He said it's work for hire. You don't get IP rights when you do work for hire. So I asked my person at Forbes, and they just sort of laughed. They're like, that's not how it works. And so I'm sure that a guy called up Tachyon Pulse and said he saw but you need 2 corroborative sources, independent corroboration before you make a claim. As crazy as that.
Well, and I agree. Normally, it doesn't work that way, and that's why I have a tough time. Anytime anybody's talking about the ownership or the rights or anything like that, and the only thing that I think of, I go back to Voyager. When Voyager was put together, the original idea was that they were going to bring Nick Locarno from the First Duty episode. You remember the Starfleet Academy episode? Robert Duncan McNeil played Nick Locarno, his fellow cadet of Wesley Crusher. They had that accident and one of the kids were killed.
They didn't want to pay the original writer.
Exactly. They didn't want to pay. And that's because the writer created that and owns the rights to the character.
Yeah, no,
that's the same kind of thing.
That's a licensing thing, though. That's not rights. He has license to that, but they don't want to use any of Kurtzman's stuff, man. They're better off if they don't.
But if they get all of the rights reverted back to them, then they can bury it.
Yeah, but they can bury it anyway. That writer can't go off and make a Nick Locarno show. It doesn't work like that.
No, I know that.
They just have to, and they can do it. They just have to
use.
It's not right.
Hang on. If they were going to use Nick Locarno in Voyager, they would have to pay that writer for every single time he was in an episode.
Yeah, but that's licensing. That's not rights, and that's a huge difference. And everyone's talking about
it's a right to the character.
It's licensing rights again, but he doesn't. There's no IP involved in that. He's got a character license for that character. But who in their right mind wants to use anything that Kurtzman made?
Oh, and
they can just bury it by not using it. They don't need to own it to bury it.
Well, they need to own it so they can control everything about the property.
What do you mean? What does Kurtzman control? He can't use any of this stuff without Star Trek. He can't go off on his own and make a Mickey Spock show.
No, but let's say, just as an example, if they sit there and decide they're going to make Star Trek Legacy with Terry Matalas, the stuff that's coming out of Picard season 3 is Secret Hideout. So there would have to be some kind of a compensation for everything that was created as part of Picard season 3.
Yeah, only if they pull from that
legacy.
They can make a legacy show using TNG characters without having to address anything. They still own. The only new characters on that show was like the captain. He's dead. Who else?
The first officer,
Raffi, Jack Crusher,
yeah,
Jack Crusher,
daughters. I mean, half the cast.
The Enterprise G itself belongs.
They shouldn't make that show at all.
Yeah, no, they shouldn't. Well, they should make an Enterprise. They have all the original. The original characters are what people want to see, and they can make a show with that.
Okay, so the reason why I think they should never make that show is because it has to include the stuff before. And in my opinion, Doctor Who, Star Wars, and Star Trek should all wipe clean, seriously clean, of the filth that invaded it in the first place.
Yeah,
Once
I
you get
agree.
rid of all that
Absolutely.
stuff, the fans will come back. The real
Yeah.
fans, not these imaginary.
Yeah, I'm
fans.
okay with getting rid of everything. Everything.
Yeah.
I'll get rid of Picard season 3. Listen, Picard season 3 compared to his other crap, because Terry Matalas did it, it was watchable. But you know what? It
It's
wasn't
still
a
crap.
must-see thing for me. It
Exactly,
was
to me,
pleasant.
yeah.
It was a little bit of nostalgia bait. It had the actors there. It was fine for whatever it was. But if now I had to throw it all away and never see it again in order to save Star Trek, I'm signing that deal now. Right
Yeah,
now, I'm
I
signing on the
agree.
bottom line. Delete it. I'll never watch it again. I'll never think about it again. Screw that. I don't want to see any of that. Delete everything.
Yeah, it was the best of a bad situation. It wasn't anything good. So there.
Yeah, I the first time when that episode started and Beverly Crusher was Rambo, that was it. I was like,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She was never Rambo, right?
Cocking a
Yeah, she was never
phaser. That was my
Rambo.
favorite. Yeah, she's
Well,
cocking the shotgun phaser.
I just like the
she
show
whacked
way
the
more.
laser rifle. I was out.
Wait,
That
Jill,
Yeah.
what did you think of Picard season 3?
Well, I didn't like it. I dislike it even more than a lot of people do. A lot of people give it some credence, but I really didn't enjoy most of the storylines. You had Borgs that didn't have their implements. They were just people, and you had changelings who didn't really change. They still lived in buckets as if that was the way that Odo did it, but that was because he didn't understand how to be a changeling. There was so many things completely wrong, and to that point, that very first scene, the gun says out of ammo, just in case your enemies need it.
If you're
and you have the Enterprise flying like an X-wing through a Borg cube 1,000 times normal size. The show was absolutely horrible. I didn't see why people liked it.
I
but
did like the scene that they were on the Enterprise D, the whole cast. I mean,
but that was member berries, man.
It was
member berry. Complete
I
member berry.
I spoke to or had a text thing with Terry Matalas. I respect him. I think he's a good showrunner and he's very creative. But as Jill said, it was okay. That last one was okay, but it's still got the filth in it. It's still got the crap in it. We can't go forward with that. We just can't. Otherwise, it'll just start everything all over again. And all these idiots that liked it will say, yes, it's part of canon. We want to get rid of all that crap that destroyed our favorite
Thing
shows.
is, we can have a sequel to TNG that has nothing to do with Star Trek Picard seasons 1 through 3.
I think we should let it go. I don't think we should do any more with that cast. I think we should go in the future, like Professor a while back said, 100 years in the future, new crew. Let's just pretend that nothing happened beyond, Enterprise and Voyager and whatever it is. Nothing happened after that, and no other shows. Let's just continue.
That is what we're getting in 2028 with the Goldstein Daily movie.
Yeah, so they don't need to buy anything from
not connected to anything else. It's not a sequel or anything. It's all original stuff.
What I think is, so I think what they're saying to make sure that they're getting back any licensing, any rights, whatever the contract says, they want to make sure that they fully control that, so that not because they're worried that Secret Hideout or Kurtzman are going to go and try and make their own Star Trek. They want to make sure that they have all the rights to it, they have all the licensing, they have whatever, so that if they want to sell Blu-rays. They don't have to give Kurtzman a thing.
Right.
If they want to sell, merchandise, if they want to keep the show on Paramount for whatever, if it gets them a little bit of money back, right? If they keep it out there, then they want to make sure that's their money. They're not having to other than the standard types of things that you would have to pay to writers and so on, that for the creation. They don't have to give him anything else.
Yeah, but they would have
now
to give
belongs
him
to them.
And
I don't think the money they could make on Blu-rays would make up for the money they would have to pay him up front.
But it's still money.
I think the other thing too is I'm wondering how much of this is just preventive medicine to avoid another conflict like what they had with Axanar.
Go away money.
Yes,
go away money.
That's true. And the other thing my contact said, that the main reason they want him to sign something is that they can work on new stuff right away instead of having to wait for his contract to expire because it was exclusive. So you know what I say? I say eat the 6 months and let the guy burn. I don't want to see him making another penny off of anything. They're not going to sell any fucking Blu-rays of Kurtzman Trek. They're not going to make a cent off that. So if they pay him tens of millions to leave, it's actually going to cost them more. And I do understand, hey, now we don't have to have lawyers go through a script to make sure we don't accidentally. But you know what? Let him try to sue the Ellisons. They will bury him in court costs and bankrupt Kurtzman for even trying, the same way Disney does everybody with a legitimate suit.
But by the way, I just want to say that I think we finally reached a point where Star Wars and Star Trek for me are in a very similar position. Doctor Who in a way as well. And with Star Wars also, I would gladly get rid of everything Disney ever did, and that includes The Mandalorian, and that includes Andor and Rogue One. I don't give a shit. Take them all out of canon. As far as I'm concerned, bury them somewhere else. Make it so that you go into like Disney Plus and you have to search for 5 hours to find a folder with that shit. That the folder is called decanonized shit. Like, I don't care. Keep the prequels and the regular trilogy, and that's what Star Wars is, and build from there. It's too late pretty much at this point. I don't know what you can even do. Star Trek, I think there's still a way to save it. Star Wars, I really don't know, unless you go like 500 years in the future and pretend all that other stuff didn't happen. But what I'm saying is, people that like Andor and Rogue One, I don't care. You like it, it's fine. I could be perfectly fine never seeing those again.
Can I save Luthen's speech just on my hard drive for my head? Because that's the only thing of Disney that I even think about keeping.
Yeah.
Listen, there were a few moments in Rogue One. It was a problematic movie with 2 acts that were shitty and 1 act that was pretty good. There were a lot of issues there, a few things that I liked, but again, I'd give it all up if I knew we could save it. And same with Doctor Who. Well, that one's a no-brainer. Anything you tell me that came after like the last episode of Capaldi, flush that down the toilet. We never have to see it again. But that one's the easiest one to do because there's not even one redeeming thing. There's not one normal thing that they've done since the end of Capaldi.
Yeah, if I was Ellison, I would hire the Axonar guys and say, you know what, go ahead what you were trying to make 10 years ago. We don't have Richard Hatch anymore. We don't have Tony Todd, but make that thing.
No, Alec Peters.
No, Gary Graham.
Alec Peters is a grifter con man. He has not. He has not delivered anything that he has promised. He has violated his agreement coming out of the lawsuit. The settlement is 6 ways from Sunday.
Yeah, well, whoever wrote the script, whoever did the show, doesn't have to be Alex Peters. I know Robert Meyer Burnett was involved.
I think Robert directed it.
You hire whoever wrote the thing and make that, because that was good. And you know what? If you want to have Peters on as a consultant, I know there's a lot of gossip around there, but dude, that was a collaborative effort with dozens of people that all knew Star Trek. They're the ones that should be making it today.
Yes, and
they should be making new stuff though. That's the thing.
All of them have been sued by Alec Peters because he didn't like what they said about him after he took all that money.
Ian, Axonar was new stuff.
I know it was, but it was still connected to Star Trek, wasn't it? And
that's because it's a Star Trek movie.
Hang on. Axonar was a fan film.
Yes.
And Alec Peters was selling it, marketing it as a Star Trek movie that would be better than Thing. And he was selling.
Have you seen
merchandise.
it though?
I have seen Prelude to Axonar.
It's not very good.
That's the only
some
thing
of the effects are terrible.
And that's the only thing he's done. He's not delivered the movie that he raised over $1 million for. And he was selling Star Trek merchandise without having a legal authority to do so. And he was taking that money, and instead of making the Axonar movie he was promising everybody, he went and built Ares Studio in Atlanta, which he had to go to Atlanta because he ran out of money in LA. And they said, Alec, what are you doing? He went and he bought a warehouse to build his own studio instead of renting a studio. I mean, they're all over LA. He's spending all this.
They are now.
He's taking all of this crowdfunding money to go build his thing instead of making a Star Trek thing. And he's using the Star Trek name to grift into this all of this money for Ares Studio.
I
Well-
don't understand fan films at all. I don't understand that at all. They collect a lot of money and they put this 100% effort in making a fan film when they could be making something new and original that comes from their head. It just seems pointless to me to make a fan film now because it doesn't. You don't even own the IP. How far can you go with that? You're just throwing money down the toilet. Yes, people would say it's great and you do great special effects, use AI, blah blah blah. But still, what is the point? Make something new. Create something new.
I agree. The amount of effort and work that has gone into some of the fan films. I mean, first of all, the first ones were proof of concept, but we got that now. But really, they need to do two things: make something original and hire a damn writer, because the real weak part of all these fan films is the writing. I don't know why all of a sudden everybody thinks they're a writer, maybe because they're just as bad in Hollywood now writing crap dialogue, but you really need to get somebody that can write.
Star Trek Continues was beautiful.
Yeah, that
might be an
It was
exception.
it was all right, but could you take that guy as Kirk? No. Could you take that guy as Spock? No. Do you know what I mean? It takes me right out of it. I saw a couple of episodes. I'm like, this guy isn't Spock, so I just came off it.
Yeah.
And that's look, and it doesn't even belong to them. They did a great job, yes, because I haven't seen all of them. A lot of people say they did a great job. But what is the point if you don't own the IP? People are going to stop you. You're going to waste all that money, all that time, all the people that get involved, because the company comes down and say you can't use this. It doesn't belong to you. So create new.
I just want to weigh in here for a second with some super chats. Dutch Gradient for $2. The first rule of Starfleet Academy is
don't talk about
Starfleet Academy.
Okay, and then another $2. The second rule of Starfleet Academy is don't talk about
Starfleet
fair enough.
Academy.
Fair enough. They did a Fight Club here, so yeah. So
don't swallow your comm badge, I think is rule.
Oh yeah.
Now you can go on. You were saying you hate fan films. Let's hear it.
No, it's not. No, look, it's not that I hate them. I think there's some really great ones. There's some great Star Wars ones out there. They're brilliant. But again, I say, all the effort and all the money you've put into this fan film, you could be making something original. You could be doing something of your own so you can carry on that nobody can take away from you. I just feel that I remember I started doing a fan film, Doctor Who fan film. I did half of it and I stopped. And I realized I'm wasting money here where I could be putting money into something of my own. And I stopped. I mean, the clips are out there. Well, they're out there, but it wasn't very good anyway. So do you know what I mean? That's why I think it's pointless making fan films these days. That's me personally.
Sometimes though, fan films can be useful as proof of concept if you're trying to get work. And there was a guy, and I can't remember his name.
You should speak louder.
Films, though.
He did Batman Dead End, which was Batman and the Predator and the Xenomorph.
Yeah.
Walter Koenig's son played the Joker, and it's a brilliant film. But it's a proof of concept. It's like, let me make a Batman movie. Here, look, I'll make a Batman movie to show you.
What are the chances of that happening? What is the chances of that happening? Kind of zero, really.
Yeah.
You wasted all that time.
Well,
he did all that money.
Get work. He didn't get a Batman movie, but he did get work out of it. So here's my skill set. I could take this thing and I could do, the cinematography, the writing, and the effects, and all this. This is what I can do with something that is already established. Let me do something else. This kind of thing happens a lot, and the studios, especially with CBS now, they have guidelines for fan films, and it's like Artist Alley at the Comic Cons, right? You go in and you get
we know all this stuff, man. This is a sophisticated audience, but what I don't think Ian understands, there is a ecosystem for fan films where they're actually making money, and that's why people keep doing it. We have enough proof of concept out there. People do need to start putting their effort into making original things. Now's the time to do it.
Yeah,
I want original.
Well, now with
stuff.
AI, maybe people will start doing more stuff on their own.
Yeah, but even on YouTube, there is a way to turn these fan films now into money, and they have sort of
that's why they
this.
do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. You said, why are they doing it? And that's why, because they make money.
Just quickly, Super Mario Brothers 3, of course I remember you. It's been a while. I feel like I haven't seen you in a minute, but it's always good to see you, and thanks for being here.
Love your game, man. Love
Super
your
Mario
game.
Brothers 3 is arguably, from the NES era, the best Super Mario Brothers game.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, people can do what they want to do at the end of the day. I remember Dave Cullen, he had a section on these fan films and stuff like that. And then he had my movie, Killing Zone, in between them. And he goes, and he starts off going, so here's an original. And like, my thing was the only original in that whole list of people. Why do people insist in making fan films? Again, I would say, just think of something new. We need new stuff now, more than ever. Right now, we need new stuff to watch and to be fans of and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe talking crap. Who knows?
Make a film about Inspector Spacetime. How about that?
Yeah.
Oh wait, that's taken. Sorry.
Yeah, everyone I ever knew at a con growing up for the last 40 years was selling unlicensed merchandise. So everything out of all the things Alex Peters did, I don't really blame him for that. You know, that's sort of a Star Trek convention staple right there.
Who's that guy that was in Doctor Who? Sorry, Jill. Who was that guy that was in Doctor Who? And he was also in Sherlock. He's an actor. He started off doing. So maybe our friend is right. Jason's right. He started off doing fan Doctor Who things, and then he ended up in Doctor Who, and now he's one of these stable British actors. Who's the guy? I can't remember his name. He was Sherlock's brother in the BBC version of
Mycroft,
Doctor Who.
the guy that played.
Yeah, him.
Rice Ivans.
No, not him.
Oh no,
Gatiss.
that's the element.
Gatiss. He started off.
I can't believe I knew it. Ian, come on, give me some props. I knew it was Gatiss.
Well, and the other thing, the title sequence for Capaldi's run was done by a fan.
Absolutely,
and
absolutely.
BBC, Davey or Moffat saw it and said, "I like this. Can we use it?" And they ended up paying him for it.
No, well, they actually corrected it, didn't they? They actually fixed. They actually redid it.
They did
his version was so much better than what the BBC did.
Well, and then they hired for Mandalorian. There was a guy on the internet who did the Luke Skywalker face replacement better than Lucasfilm had done it. So they hired
Shamook or whatever that guy's name is. There's a guy called and then they hired him.
Every now and again, you can do that.
Yeah, but that's not a fan film. That's a very specific
sci-fi. For me, you should be closer to the mic. I feel like you've distanced yourself from the mic.
I'm eating my microphone now.
By the way, so I'm the only one that watched Daredevil.
What? No,
baby.
You are.
Am I the only one? Professor, did you watch Daredevil?
I'll be honest. I didn't even know it started.
Okay.
I gotta call shenanigans on those numbers, though.
I'll give you my review. The thing is that I watched this first episode, and I won't say that I watched it and there was anything particularly wrong with it, but I couldn't help but feel like, one, it's been so many years since the original Netflix show. This is so many years later, and it almost feels like it's too late. And I think that they tried to not do as many stupid things as the Frankenstein's monster of Daredevil Born Again season 1 thing that we had. I think that they were trying to just make it more serious and just do it in a way that's okay. There's just something that felt a bit by the numbers about it. It wasn't necessarily bad, but I didn't feel like, excited about it. The fact that it premiered today, and most people didn't even know that it premiered today, and there's nobody talking about it. What was once like the gold standard of these kind of comic book series is now like, on Disney Plus is something that people don't even know about and don't watch. And it's kind of a shame because this should have been done years ago, and it should have been done well. And to spend so much time and to waste so many years. Do you remember when they even announced that Disney was going to make these? I feel like that was already 70 years ago,
It's been a while. Yeah.
It's been a while. It took them forever. So I like, Charlie Cox's Daredevil. I think he's great in the role. there's a few good action scenes that look decent to me. I like Vincent D'Onofrio as Vincent at Wilson Fisk. I think that he was fine. They didn't, make him like a pushover with his wife this time. I think that they managed to course correct that a bit. But with all of that being said, the next episodes have to really win me over, because it really just felt kind of by the numbers.
So
certainly,
wait, Bryce,
what'd you say?
You're saying the pegging of Kingpin has stopped?
I didn't feel like I saw any pegging of him in this one. He just seemed like he was, himself, and I didn't feel like they were trying to make him look bad. The other thing is that it starts off the season that Matt and Karen Page are an item. Not for nothing, at least, like, you see a man and a woman who are straight, and it's been a long time since I saw, like, and they're kind of kissing and they're with each other. It seems like this would just be very common, but these days it's so uncommon on TV. So
hold on. So sorry, Price. Does it jump time? Because in the last terrible season before this one, they weren't together or anything like that.
They completely just jump time. They're in hiding
right.
now. They're in hiding. They're doing all this secret stuff in hiding, and they're hiding together, and they are together. And that other lady that was a psychiatrist, it's not explained. I don't know. I don't think they explain why she's not with him, but she's still there doing something, but she has nothing to do with him. He's with Karen Page. They are an item, they're together, and they're in hiding, like doing all this, like she's bringing information, like, kind of like acting like the reporter that brings sources. He's trying to physically like stop, like, Fisk and his operation. It wasn't terrible. It's not that everything here was terrible. It's just that I feel like the ship has sailed. You know what I mean? Like, this needed to come out years ago, be like better even than what I saw today, and years ago. Is it better than season one? From what I could tell, this episode seemed a bit better, but something about it still felt by the numbers. I'm going to continue to watch it. I like these characters. I'll give it a chance, but I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, Charlie Cox is 44 years old, or 43 going on 40. I expect him to use a cane pretty soon, but
I mean, he's still in good form. He's still in good form, and he's game for doing it, and I like him. And again, Vincent D'Onofrio is good. There's a lot to like here, but it's just I also don't mind James Gandolfini's son. He brings I like that actor. I think that he brings a little bit of vibe that whatever his father had. There is things that I could pinpoint here that aren't bad, but again, I didn't think it was fantastic either, and it really needed to be fantastic. I'm going to continue to watch it. Maybe it'll get better. I just, as somebody that liked the Netflix show so much, I'm going to just watch it, even though it's a stupid thing for me to do. I'm going to watch it.
I'll give it a shot, but did his girlfriend, the psychiatrist, did she go, he didn't break up with me, I broke up with myself?
She doesn't even mention him. She's kind of looks like she's going off the deep end, because basically what happens is that, like, Fisk put her in charge of something, of like some mental thing, like he gave her some role, and she's trying to evaluate the guy that was in that stupid what's it called, Hawkeye show, the guy that was also in Better Call Saul, that played Lalo. So she's trying to talk to him in jail, and she's doing like an evaluation, but she keeps having flashback of that guy that tried to kill her in the office. So she's going through some weird, like, nutty thing. She's like going off the deep end, seemingly. I don't know. That's what it looks like. But she has nothing to do with Matt Murdock. Like, she didn't share the screen with him one time. It's suggested that they're not together anymore, and he's with Karen Page.
Well, I think it's an insult that they're calling it Born Again, because it's nothing like the Born Again comic, which I really love. I just think it's an insult, really.
Well, and they already had a season called Born Again.
Yeah.
So
this is Born Again.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jason. We keep talking over you, buddy.
That's okay. I was just gonna say, my kid's 24. He's telling me that he's enjoying it. And he also likes Wonder Man, and
well, that tells you everything, doesn't it?
Wonder Man got another season today, which surprised me.
It did. Well, he said, oddly enough, in his mind, and he and I have similar sensibilities on a number of things related to genre.
Try to speak louder.
He says that Wonder Man is one of the better Marvel TV shows that he's seen in a while, and I haven't sat and watched it, but I've seen a lot of positive buzz about, especially Ben
Ben Kingsley?
Kingsley's character.
I'll tell you what. I
haven't
watched
looked into it, but
I watched, I think, half of Wonder Man. I just didn't get a chance to watch the rest. I will say this: when I watched Wonder Man, it wasn't offensively bad, like let's say like an Echo or Agatha All Along or like these weird things. It wasn't offensively bad, but it just felt to me like, does this show really need to exist? Is it really doing something that I really need? And that's where like I would say that it wasn't insultingly bad, but it didn't quite win me over either.
Yeah, the
Sorry,
hero.
can I just say something, right?
Sure.
I will not watch a show that race swaps, especially when it comes to men of color, which I am. I hate that crap. So I will not watch Wonder Man because Wonder Man was never black. Okay, so
correct.
Screw all that nonsense.
Yeah. The thing that bothered me is the supposed hero of Wonder Man. He is selfish. He is self-centered. He turns his back on everybody. They think he's a wild, loose cannon who uses his powers irresponsibly. And lo and behold, he is a wild, loose cannon who uses his powers responsibly. And they gave no hint of him sort of trying to be better, trying to become a hero and going on an arc. Now, I guess they could do that in season 2. They have a lot to work with. But I'm tired of these superhero shows looking more like villain origin stories.
Wait, Jill, did you watch Wonder Man or Daredevil?
Sorry, no, I don't even know who Wonder Man is, unfortunately. I just know Wonder Woman, so
no, it's a Marvel thing where they did Wonder Man. I didn't know anything about Wonder Man prior to watching this Wonder Man thing. I'll be honest with you. Maybe you guys are more like into the comics. Is like Wonder Man a good comic thing? Does anybody read?
It's like he's been an Avenger.
Is C tier
or anything?
Yeah, he's a C tier hero, but I suspect this is what's working. I see why younger people like it because they do have different sensibilities, and I can kind of see like you don't need to be a classical hero. Like, is this snarky and sarcastic, a little bit nihilistic, but you're right. It wasn't offensive in the way I watched the whole thing, but it was still sort of pointless. But it sort of has that TikTok-y feel. I do understand. I can see young people kind of digging on this, but it really doesn't bode well for the future of superhero stories. I suspect, and I wonder if Lantern's going to do the same thing. It's all of this just, Buffy humor with somebody who is just incredibly selfish and self-centered.
I see. Do you like anything in the MCU, Jill, or you're more just Star Trek?
Well, I watched up to Endgame, and I don't know, I kind of dropped off around there.
That's the best time to drop off. You missed nothing. There's like the only thing that maybe like Spider-Man No Way Home, it was flawed but like enjoyable for whatever it was.
Maybe... Oh yeah, I did like that too. You're right.
Oh, okay. Deadpool and Wolverine
and Guardians of the Galaxy is my thing. I love that, obviously.
So Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was decent, and what else? There was Wolverine and Deadpool I thought was mildly amusing. None of these films were the best thing ever, but they were at least like, pretty fun popcorn movies, all three of those. But that's like over the course of 7 years, and 20 shows and 70 movies, they can boast like 3 movies which were decent. After Endgame, which really is, and they were really stuff that capitalized on your nostalgia. Even Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was a movie that was left over from before Endgame, and the only reason you didn't get it before Endgame is because James Gunn, apparently they found his tweets from years ago where he said that, stuff about PDF files, and so they fired him, but then they rehired him, so that's why you got it later than it should have been. It was already written in like 2017. Do you get what I'm saying?
The only thing that spoilt the third Guardians of the Galaxy for me anyway was the little bit of woke that they had in there. They couldn't have Star-Lord have the girl at the end.
Right. It was a little bit annoying. It was a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, at the time, I kind of let it slide, but the more I thought about it afterwards, I'm like,
same
that
here.
kind of annoys me. He liked her so much, and then at the end, it's like they kind of got away with it. It wasn't the end of the world, but yeah, they could have let him have the the girl at the end.
You could see there was slamming the white man when you watch that film carefully. At the ending, he ends up as nothing. He goes back to his uncle and nothing, and absolutely nothing. There was no rejoicement. There was no celebrating how brave he was, how many lives he saved. You know, even though he ended up starting as really clever in the first movie, then gradually got thicker and thicker and thicker as a person as the show went on. That's the decline of a white hero. That's what Marvel started doing, and that really annoyed me. I liked the first one, which was great. The second one was okay. The third one really annoyed me towards the ending, even though I still enjoyed it. And that's my
complaint. My complaint on Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was actually with the animals, because we saw these animals, the villain abuse them, and obviously turn, and that's fine. He's the villain. He does terrible things. But what was bad was when Rocket has that afterlife, and they still looked like that. They should have looked like the way they were born.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. But again, right, you feel sorry for the CGI animals, and you didn't feel sorry for the white male that got degraded throughout the history of the Guardians of the Galaxies. I find that really odd, personally, but there you go. That's just me, right? Oh, dear.
Well, I mean, I thought that out of all those Marvel movies in Phase 7 or whatever that phase was, I thought that it was like passable, but yeah. It wasn't perfect. I think I like the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie better than 2 or 3, to be honest.
That was great. You remember that scene in it where everybody's arguing and he tells them all, look, shut up. Do you know what I mean? It's like, what's the matter with you? You know, you got to be helping this. But do you remember when they were arguing? Rocket was arguing with Drax when they were in the casino or something. Do you remember that? And Star-Lord stands up and said, look, you know, what is wrong with you? You know, can't you just be pleasant, whatever? And that said something about his character. And then they destroyed it in the second one, made him thick. And even in what is it, Endgame, they made him, he was so stupid in the end. It was ridiculous. Why did they do? Well, we know why they did that, right?
Well, I just want to say, Massgrave00 said best Daredevil was Netflix season 2. Fight me. I actually think season 1 was the best. Season 1 for me.
Yeah, both of them were.
Season 1 is like, you know, it was such a good season of television. It was, I can't think of something that they got wrong in season 1. It was so good. Until today, I feel that way.
Oh my gosh. Istophoba has nothing to say. Hello, sir. Are you still there?
Yeah. No, I'm just listening to you guys. It's fine.
By the way, did you guys see the breaking news today?
What's that?
Peter Jackson's son is developing a new Lord of the Rings script with Peter Jackson and Stephen Colbert.
I had this on my list, Jason.
Oh,
yes.
I had this on my list.
No.
To talk about if we got to it. Yes, Stephen Colbert.
Why is everybody trying to throw him work? Why are all the Kurtzman and all these idiots? Why? Well, Peter Jackson doesn't need to give him work.
Now, I have to say, Colbert has proven himself to be a very knowledgeable nerd on a lot of this stuff. So
yeah, but he was also totally a shill for Rings of Power. He definitely has a huge Tolkien nerd, but you know, after all the initial hubbub, he never brought it up. He never said a word about it again. They need to stop
with the Lord of the Rings films. They need to stop now. They need to stop and let what they've done in the past stand on its own as a classic.
We really didn't need a Gollum movie.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. So there you go. They need to stop now.
They need to create something best new. Trilogy. They just need to. You're right. They're not going to get it better than the Lord of the Rings trilogy. They're not going to do something better than that.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. Okay, Colbert revealed the film will be based on Fogs on the Barrow Downs. the 8th chapter of Fellowship of the Rings, where hobbits are trapped by a barrow wight in an unnatural fog. The story also includes
this is the Tom Bombadil movie?
favorite character, Tom Bombadil.
There
What?
you go.
You're going to make a movie out of half of a chapter?
Well, they made 3 movies out of a 150-page book. So.
Well, yeah, and it was a disaster too. Those
was.
movies were a mess. So
you're gonna miss those movies at some point. when you
Oh
see some of
no,
this
I
other
am
shit.
not going to miss the Hobbit movies. No,
I didn't hate the Hobbit movies. I'm sorry. I know they weren't good, but I kind of didn't hate them.
I thought they were fine.
No,
I, thought
I
they were
didn't
fine.
hate them. I did not hate them, but they threw in so much extra stuff and just stretched things out so much. If they had kept it to just one lengthy film or maybe a couple of films, but trying to stretch it out into those 3 movies and adding all the extra material, it did nobody any favors.
Do you know what stopped me from I watched the first one. You know what stopped me from watching the rest? When I went in the cinema and it played, it looked like I was watching a soap opera, a really cheap soap opera, because of the frame rate they used on it. I was thinking, what the fuck is this? This isn't film. This is video. What the hell? And I'm like, oh no, I can't watch this. And that's when I stopped watching it. I was like, no.
Do we really think this is going to be made, especially after Hunt for Gollum totally bombs?
That was what I was thinking, was basically like, if Hunt for Gollum is the absolute bomb that I think it will be, does this even get made? Are they even going to move forward with it? I don't know. It sounds like this new film. So it says that the Lord of the Rings Shadows of the Past is going to be set 14 years after the passing of Frodo. Sam, Merry, and Pippin set out to retrace the steps of their first adventure. Meanwhile, Sam's daughter Eleanor has discovered a long-buried secret and is determined to uncover why the War of the Ring was very nearly lost before it even began. So they're going to take this one little story from the first of the books, and they're going to try and modify it and change it into this thing that happens later on without Frodo and with these. I don't understand. I don't get it.
Peter Jackson is kind of like retired now. That's what I feel. He hardly does anything. The last big thing he did was the Beatles, and that wasn't him shooting anything. It was him taking footage from stuff and making it into a show. But he hasn't really done anything of worth since, I guess, King Kong. I guess
they would be better off ponying up for the Silmarillion rights and making something Tolkien actually wrote.
That would be great. I would enjoy that. I don't see how I'm going to enjoy this. Tom Bombadil, I love him, but that was where you went to go relax. And when the Barrow's Down was exciting, but it was just, hey, let's, call Tom Bombadil. All we have to do is sing a song and everything. And it was, I don't know. I don't see how you're going to make a movie out of this.
Yeah. If you made Lord of the Rings a TV series, the Barrow Downs would be one episode.
Well, it's like making a movie out of Candyland, the board game, or Battleship, or Chutes and Ladders.
Did do a Battleship movie?
Why? They're doing a Candyland movie.
Yeah, but
it's ridiculous.
No, I only hear you in one ear.
But that's less desecrate. Oh, is your mic set to mono? Because if you're only coming, okay.
I don't know. Maybe. Hang on. Let me.
Something strange with your mic.
But see, Battleship and Candyland aren't desecrating anything, so I don't care. Make your movie, lose your money.
Battleship.
Oh
God!
Actually,
it shouldn't be mono.
That's weird. Well, we're hearing you better, but it's kind of going in and out of being on one.
Yeah, I couldn't hear you at all before. I didn't mean to talk over you. I didn't know you were talking. I can hear you now, so that's good.
Oh God, is Hollywood?
Love the chat. The Hunt for Gollum. The search for more money.
It's basically this.
Yeah, and Rings of Power season 3 is only going to hurt the movie's chances of making any, because that's going to be just like Starfleet Academy or Ironheart or Acolyte. It's like final form message. crap, you know this next season is just going to be unwatchable garbage. Like, not that the rest of it hasn't been that too, but it's going to be worse. You think it can't get any worse, and they say, "Hold my beer."
Price, is Jessica Jones in that first episode of Daredevil?
No, she's not in the first episode. The only ones that I saw was Matt Murdock and Karen Page. You have Wilson Fisk. You have Vanessa Fisk. Vanessa Fisk in this episode is more quiet. She's sitting with him at the table, but she's not like, telling him like that, starts like bossing him around or whatever. At least not in this episode. It felt like, they were at least trying not to annoy me. And that's the best way I could describe it. The episode felt like it was trying to annoy me less. And it was working to an extent, but at the same time, I still wasn't overwhelmed by it. So I really have to see where it all goes. Because it felt like very fluffy exposition on the one hand. It was competently made, sort of, but it also didn't like sweep me off my feet.
Price, can I ask you, does it look like they were trying to pretend that season 1 didn't even exist? They didn't address, they just ignored it?
Not exactly, because like, they took beats from that first season that are there. You have James Gandolfini's son, who's like now sort of the right-hand man to Wilson Fisk. I don't mind that. I actually didn't mind that in the first season. I don't mind that here. There's that reporter that's like the niece of like Ben Urich.
Yeah.
She's still sort of hanging around. I feel like they don't quite know what to do with her exactly. She's interacting like with Karen Page. I guess they were trying to do something where like Karen Page is like, I worked with your uncle, and now she's sort of mentoring her after he mentored her. It wasn't the worst thing. On paper, a lot of these ideas aren't terrible. But again, at the end of the day, maybe because so much time has gone by, maybe because so many mistakes have been made over the years, I wasn't like really swept off my feet. I will still watch it more hoping that it gets better. It wasn't a complete insult for me. Another thing is they had, let's say, that lawyer partner that she works with him, but he doesn't even see her throughout the episode because he's sort of like in hiding with Karen and he's just popping up as Daredevil to kick some ass. He's not really dealing with those characters. So she's sort of like trying to do something legal, but she didn't have a big part to play here.
Why is he in hiding?
Well, basically, he's now sort of an underground guy that's trying to ruin everything for Wilson Fisk, together with like Karen Page that brings the intel, and he goes and like tries to like torpedo his operations or something. And I don't hate the idea. And meanwhile, like Fisk is trying to find him, like he knows that they're doing this to him, and he wants
There's one thing, right, that doesn't make any sense to me. Fisk knows that Matt Murdock is Daredevil. Why doesn't he just use that to destroy him? Because in the Born Again comic, that's what he does. In this show, they ignore the fact that he knows who he is. So why doesn't he just do the same thing in the comic and destroy him? Just none of this makes any sense. None of it. The script is terrible because they refuse to address that point. Another thing they refuse to address is when Kingpin gets stabbed in the eye in in that other show, and suddenly he's got
shot in the face.
In the face,
yeah.
So it's just I can't see this. I can't take this show seriously. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually like Clark Johnson. He's old school. He was from The Wire and Homicide. He was the guy that replaced Foggy with along with that woman partner you mentioned. But I just don't see a place for him in the story.
In the comics, right, he literally finds out that Matt Murdock is Daredevil, and instead of actually telling the world who he is, he literally takes his life apart by secretly taking things away from him, secretly making people move towards Matt Murdock and destroying his reputation. First thing he does is destroys his reputation. He even blows up his apartment, and because he's got power and he owns the banks and stuff, they literally start taking money away from him. He couldn't pay his rent, and that's how he destroyed him. And that's what I'm saying. That's so clever writing, because that came from Frank Miller. Such clever writing. This, I don't know what the hell this is. I really don't. You know,
You know,
what's stopping Kingpin
you're
from doing
not
that?
completely wrong. I'm going to give it a little more time. I don't really know. He could, but you know, he does say Matt Murdock, so it seems like he knows when he tells his like assistants and whatever it is. He calls them Matt Murdock and Karen Page. So I think that he knows who they are. It's not that Daredevil is in hiding. Matt Murdock and Daredevil are in hiding, along with Karen Page. Now, whether Fisk told anybody except for his close circle, I'm not sure. That's the part I'm not clear on. But he can't go outside. Basically, neither of those two can go out in public, just, you know, in broad daylight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it still doesn't make any sense because he could just tell the whole world that Matt Murdock is Daredevil. It makes no sense.
Well,
None of it. He
yeah,
has the power.
Yeah, it didn't really make sense before, but I don't know. I'm looking at the cast and it looks like they are really bringing everybody in from Hawkeye and everybody in from Jessica Jones. They're doing that Marvel ensemble thing where I guess they feel like one hero isn't enough and they have to bring in just, you know, everything is a team sport with them now these days.
It also, if you watch the new Spider-Man trailer and you see a Punisher in it, you know, the first thing I thought when I saw that trailer, I was thinking to myself, that should have been Daredevil. That shouldn't have been Punisher. It should have been Daredevil and Spider-Man. That would have been awesome. But no, they won't give us things that we really want. You know, they give us kind of crap, basically. So,
Well, like I've said, it's not perfect. It's not as insulting as what I thought. You know, even that Born Again season 1, which like had its issues. There were moments, you know, in it that I didn't hate, alongside moments that I thought were very dumb. I like the actors and I like the characters. It's certainly not as good as the Netflix show, not by a long shot. And I think that this new one, this is the best I can do. This first episode probably seemed less obnoxious or less annoying than some stuff that I saw in season 1 of Born Again, but at the same time, still nowhere in the league of the Netflix show. And I think that the magic is gone. They needed that Netflix thing to give us the 4th season. They needed to do it at the time when they were making that show. It's so difficult to take so many years and try to then like bring you back into the fold. And it takes them so long until they make a season and another season. Today, when I started watching it, I barely even remembered what the show was about.
Yeah. Well, you said you like the characters and you like the actors. I love the actors, but the characters weren't the same, and that's the problem.
It's a problem, you know. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Destroyed the characters.
I've seen them destroy stuff worse than they destroyed this, but I generally agree, at least to an extent. I didn't like that Wilson Fisk had a wife that was now like he was being cucked. Didn't like that. You know, the fact that, let's say, Matt Murdock at that part that he like helps his psychiatrist friend, then like she ends up killing the guy and she's like, I killed him. You
I saved myself.
I saved myself. That just to me was such a downer. Those things, and also that like Vanessa is like in charge of his business, all this shit. There was stuff that really annoyed me. I did feel like they didn't do obnoxious things like that in this first episode, but we'll have to see where it goes.
Yeah, Vanessa wasn't only in charge, she did it better. She ran it better.
She was the better Kingpin than Kingpin.
But the important question, does Daredevil mention to Karen that he was a cheap booty call for She-Hulk and she used him like a dish rag?
No. He doesn't mention any of that. I hope that nobody... I really don't consider that canon, you know?
Yeah, same here.
Same with like him and Echo. I don't consider any of that. Although it's hard. The Kingpin, they really did humiliate him with Echo. It's hard to forget that, but I'm trying my best.
Well, they know they only have a couple years now, and then people are just going to start making their own stuff that they want to see. They know they've been feeding their audience stuff they didn't want for the last 10 years. But with AI, they know their days are numbered. Their time is written on the walls. So I do think they're sort of winding it back, but it's still coming out in sort of subtle and insidious ways, as far as they're still trying to jam the message in there, but now they're being tricky about it.
Yeah, I honestly think, guys, that AI is not going to be the downfall of entertainment, personally. It doesn't matter how perfect AI becomes, you can still tell. Like the last things that we saw, which is meant to be the height of AI, with Tom Cruise fighting Brad Pitt, you could still tell that that's not real. There's something about it that you can feel. Like, have you ever been on Instagram and you're flicking around in Instagram and you suddenly come across this really gorgeous woman talking about whatever? You instinctively know that's not real. You just look at it and you think that's not real.
That's
and I
the
think,
uncanny valley.
Yeah.
well,
People think Price
so
is
much.
AI. What do you mean?
Well, not so much though, but you can tell. There's something about it that you can tell. It probably will get better, but I don't think it'll reach the heights of the point where you think, no, I can't tell which is which, because you can tell which is which now.
Well,
no matter
now
what
you
anyone
can, but
says.
you don't know that, you know?
Well, and
Yeah.
right now, the technology is the worst it will ever be.
Yeah. And I don't think people care. People like you care, people like us care, but I don't think most people just want to be entertained. And the moment that AI slop is more entertaining than the slop that Hollywood's putting out, they're in trouble. And they're in trouble now. Look, they're empty studios, 50,000 people laid off out in LA. I mean, they're already in trouble. But listen, I don't need it to look real. I just need it to be entertaining, even for me.
Well, as we start wrapping up, I want to share with people the different channels of the people that are guests. So I'm going to start putting those in the chat. You guys can tell jokes or something.
Yeah. Well, I had one last thing that I wanted to share before we headed out today. This was another big piece of news that dropped earlier today, that OpenAI is packing up Sora. They're saying that this app is going to disappear. It's not going to be here anymore. There's a number of different reasons for this, including various different issues, with deep fakes. There's issues with intellectual property rights, copyright, stuff like that that were a major issue for this. And so this is not only a big deal for anyone who's using this app, but Disney had signed a big licensing deal with OpenAI and Sora to allow their characters to be used in this. And in return, they were going to be able to use this as a tool. They were potentially going to be inserting it into Disney Plus and doing some various other things with it. And now, basically, they have decided, OpenAI has decided they're ditching Sora. They're leaving this behind. Now, there are still going to be other apps out there. There's going to be other AI video generation tools that we have. Google's tool is still out there. There's some other ones that are still out there. But Sora, which is one of the ones that made the biggest splash, especially in the public sphere for individuals to be able to access it, this is now gone. So this is, I think this is one of the first to fall. But I suppose we'll have to wait and see what happens with some of these other platforms.
I am going to make a prediction now that Disney has another option lined up in the wings.
Oh,
that's going to be their own thing. Because what was it? This AI company that Ben Affleck put together that nobody knew about until, was it Netflix
You're
bought
still
it?
looming mono.
Yeah, that's fine. We can hear you.
Well, anyway, but yeah, it's some Disney has something that they're working on probably that is not going to be this, and it could just very well be they got on this long enough to get whatever it is they need to make what they have work, and they have another option that's coming. Within 6 months, Disney's going to announce some new thing that they've got.
Yeah, and you're always going to have a bunch of Chinese apps that just completely ignore copyright and don't have guardrails and let you do anything you want. But I want to ask Professor a question because I haven't had time to read this. Does this have anything to do with the fact that OpenAI is in deep financial doo-doo? They're going to run out of money within the year, and there's some scandals with
they're gonna say that publicly. Of course not. They're not gonna mention that. But I will tell you that, it probably does, because video generation, when it comes to the use of these platforms, generating video eats an enormous amount of cycles. It eats an enormous amount of energy. And so saying, you know what, we're not going to do video generation anymore. We're just stepping out of that market is actually a huge cost saving measure for them. So yes, they're not going to come out and say it, but I do think it has something to do with that, because you're right. They are burning through their cash as fast as you can imagine. And they are not getting the same kind of deals with groups like Microsoft for their servers and stuff like that they were before. And so yeah, there's a very real chance that this is a cost saving measure.
Yeah, and for those who don't know, I mean, this is your field. Like, this is part of your expertise.
Technology.
So listen to the professor. And also there have been a bunch of scandals with with Sam Altman, some, pretty unsavory, but yeah, financially. And so those scandals limit their ability to bring in new funds to get another round of investment and everything else. So it's not looking good, but Sora wasn't Sora sort of the premier AI video platform? Weren't they pretty much the leader, or
it was one of the bigger ones? There are some other platforms really that have moved a little bit further, that were a little bit more capable than Sora in the end, but Sora was one that was available to the public a little bit more than some of the others. The Google has a platform, I cannot remember the name of it. There's
Gemini.
There's Gemini, but there's another. There's specifically. Is it Nano Banana?
Nano Banana.
That's one of them. Yeah.
Yeah. And
that's the more public-facing one. There's another one that's available only to certain customers. That's more capable, I think. But anyway, there's a number of different platforms that are out there. Sora was one of the first that was actually available to consumers to mess with. And so it did catch on with a lot of different groups. But as it kind of talks about in the story here, basically saying that, they had a lot of problems with different groups coming after them because, your app allowed somebody to create this offensive meme that had to do with this living person, this human being. It allowed you to do something with, these public figures that was not okay. There were copyright issues, all sorts of different potential lawsuits. I think not only is this just a cost-saving measure for them, but also they are trying to get out from under a number of potential lawsuits that were coming their way. Yeah.
Yeah, Alibaba has its own video generation image that you can go and lease or buy or rent the API for whatever you want to do with it. And I'll tell you what, it's not so easy to sue Alibaba. They're a Chinese company, and the video results of their WAN AI platform are pretty darn impressive. So
Veo, that's the name. VEO, Veo.
Oh, okay.
Is the name of the other one. But yeah, I mean, there's a few other ones. You're right. There is what is the name of the one from the big Chinese company? I cannot remember the name of it.
Tencent?
Well, no, there's a name of one of the platforms, but it's not important.
Yeah.
Claude.
That's one AI tool, but that's not one of the video generation ones. There's a specific one that has been making a big splash over in China, and I just cannot remember the name of it up the top of my head. But there's been a few others. There's Runway is one of the other ones that's popular. Luma is another one. But yeah, there's a handful of these that are out there. Sora really was kind of the first on the market. It was one that a lot of people grabbed onto. But yeah, it sounds like they've decided they're not going to be in that market anymore. So,
but where these are really going to make, and to a certain extent, Ian, you're right. But you know what? AI is going to change the face of video games, which is an industry 10 times larger than the film industry. Yeah. Billions of dollars a year. And it's going to streamline game production. What used to take 10 years, you'll be able to get done in a year. I think Douyin is a pretty big Chinese one, and Bibbly or something.
Can I ask Professor a question? I don't understand. Okay, so Disney allowed people to use their characters when they're making a AI slop, so to speak.
Yeah,
that's true, right?
Yeah.
So was the idea that Disney would basically let them do that and make some great stuff on Star Wars and Marvel, whatever, and then they can pull it from YouTube and put it in their own channel?
Yes,
that was the idea.
Yep.
Exactly.
Wow,
that people would be able to, they would be able to create content using those characters, understanding that basically Disney's continues to hold the license to it. So if somebody made something and they're like, oh, that's really cute. They made this thing of Elsa, dancing around with Aurora or something like that, and they thought it was fun and wanted to use it, they could then take that and then put that on Disney Plus or whatever.
In other words, right, they could take someone's hard work, put it on their own channel and make money out of someone's hard work. And they don't get a penny, and Disney makes money out of it.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, not that there was hard work there, since it was.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. That's another revenue, isn't it?
Well, to some extent, that's what YouTube does. They don't buy content; people make content for them, and the creators get a small portion back of the money that they make. It's a similar model.
You are the product.
Yep. And Sal the Hamster over on Rumble has my back. It's Sea Dance. That's the name of the platform. It's made by ByteDance. And that's the one that's really been making a whole bunch of waves recently with some of the pretty impressive generation capabilities that it has. So that's, and that's the one that a lot of people have been using because it has basically no safeguards. And so you can make whatever the hell you want with it, with any characters, any people, any situations. It's kind of completely open. And so and not only is it very, very capable, but it also lets people do whatever they want.
Naughty videos?
People can make naughty videos with it if they want to. Yes.
Like full-on naughty videos, like all.
I don't know how far that goes. Obviously, this is in China, so there are some restrictions, that they have to put on just because of that. But it has allowed them to do a lot of things. With stronger scenes maybe than would have been allowed by other platforms, and then more specifically being able to insert real people, characters from different IPs and so on, and be able to use those without any kind of restrictions.
But won't people be scared though if they did do their naughty videos that the establishment is following what they're doing and has data on them that they're doing? Aren't people scared?
You have to understand, the Chinese have restrictions for Chinese people.
Yep.
But those same companies encourage deviance outside of the country because they believe it undermines the social fabric of society, and they want that.
No, he's right. They love it like that. It goes back to Ang Lee. Ang Lee, when he was in China, and they said, "Okay, we're giving you money, make some movies." He's like, Hidden Tiger, Crouching Dragon, all this cool ninja stuff. Then he comes to the U.S. They're like, "Here's some money. What do you want to do? How about two cowboys that go into the desert and then they decide that they want to bang each other in a tent?" It's just, how did he go from the ninjas to that one? I always tell you this, Professor. How did he go from doing those ninja movies to making like cowboys that are all like macho banging each other in a tent?
Well,
Nobody ever is willing to explain this to me.
He got traumatized by making a Hulk movie first.
Which also sucked, by the way.
This is why my kids cannot use TikTok.
But good for you.
TikTok does not exist on any device in this house.
Well, and this goes back to what Sam Witwer has been talking about with the whole digital avatar stuff. He's a big advocate, and he's been very vocal about encouraging actors to go get their own scans done, so that when the studio comes in and says, okay, well, we're going to de-age you, we're going to have a digital element, a digital version of you, blah, 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 then the actor can sit there and goes, okay, here's my data. It's going to cost this much, and you're going to have permission to use it for this long, and then you can't use it anymore.
Yep.
And the actor has more control over their own digital image than you would if the studio comes in and says, okay, we're going to scan you for this movie. Well, now we can use that scan for all of the other movies.
Yep.
But if the actor does it and owns it and copyrights it, that gives them a little bit more control. Now, as far as the hack stuff, like, let's go make some Rule 34 movies out of whole cloth, just, throw a bunch of stuff together. You're still going to have some safeguards for that. But from a legit professional standpoint, the actors are going to have to be a lot more proactive in controlling how their image is used.
Yeah, but that only works for one generation, because the only reason you would pay to use George Clooney or Val Kilmer's image is that they already have a fan base. But if new actors start out as AI, they're going to be the ones with the fan base, not actually real people. Yeah. So this kind of holding on to your own rights, that's not going to matter very long when you can make the character look exactly like you want to without having to deal with any annoying actors.
That's true.
It's a possibility. Yeah. But at the very least, the actors would own their own image rights.
Yeah, I
and
suppose,
that's a good thing.
Yeah, I suppose any human being should, right? For whatever reason, they couldn't scan us. But this is going to kill the below the line people, even if it all stays in Hollywood, man. Yeah. They'll need celebrities to have some kind of mystique, even though they don't know how to work that now. And they might have writers and directors, but all of the people that do the actual work, the below the line people, this is going to hollow them out, just like it's already hollowing out the CG people.
Gosh, no good news at all, is there?
Well, Sora
Norwood is just the start of it.
Yeah, Sora getting pulled is kind of good news, and exactly in that direction. And this is kind of huge. Don't underestimate. This should have been the lead-in story. This is pretty big. So,
but I was seriously thinking about it a couple of days ago. Right? How can a whole system like Hollywood allow this horrible cancer to spread, this thing that destroyed entertainment, that's continually destroying entertainment? Looks like we're fighting back with things like Project Hail Mary and stuff like that. I mean, I know how it started, but how can people actually have a straight face and accept all this nonsense that's happening and not know that it's wrong, that it's bad?
Fear of not being part of the club and bureaucracy.
And they're also annoying jerk-offs.
Yeah, they're not the brightest bunch of light bulbs to begin with, but when you start hiring, who reads the scripts that get passed along to the higher ups? Those are the interns. Who are the people coming out of college and doing the internships? Those are the most ideologically captured people. Once they fill in middle and lower management, they filter out what anyone higher up than them sees. And it's bureaucratic and ideological capture of these companies.
Intimacy coordinator. Yeah. That is just so crap and rubbish and stupid. Why did anyone create a post like that? Don't you know?
Because of Me Too.
That's stupid.
Yeah,
but that's
Me Too.
Even if Me Too existed, your common sense will tell you that is incredibly stupid. It will stifle creativity. What is wrong with? I don't understand.
Well, the other thing too, and I don't know how much stock I put into this, but I find it believable. I've read that the KGB back in the old days of the Cold War, they had agents infiltrate a lot of our industries over here in order to, and I'm sure that there's a lot of them still in the State Department, sympathetic to communism, and the Soviet Union infiltrating our industries in order to manipulate and influence people into thinking more along the lines of, well, the Soviet Union is not so bad, and introduces Marxist thought and communist philosophy and try to mainstream it into a lot of our industries in order to undermine capitalist society of the United States. And then when the Soviet Union collapses, these people are all still here. Now they don't have a mission, and it flips. Instead of being, communist sympathizers for the Soviet Union, they become Marxist, critical thinking, critical race theory, critical gender theory. All of that stuff is Marxism.
Yeah, no, they still have a mission. The KGB did not go anywhere. It's still all about control. That's Yuri Bezimov. That is the big defector. And the one thing you got to give the communists, they think a lot more long-term than we do.
They do.
The Chinese think 150, 200 years out, and the Soviets. And I don't think that's the sole driving force, but it certainly is a strong contributing factor. So, yeah, don't let the externalities of their government falling make you think those people that wanted power and control have gone anywhere. I mean, Putin
they're still doing it. They're just doing it for different people now.
Well, two things I want to quickly say, and we're going to wrap up soon. Marla Sharondoff, who's a friend of the channel, she said she'd been playing with AI images. Some came out good, others came out ridiculous. While I was reading this, I was thinking that your sister could really benefit probably from AI because she's a voice actress. I don't know if you guys know, Marla is Tara Strong's sister.
Oh.
Yeah, were you being facetious?
What are you talking about, me?
AI is kind of poised to put voice actors out of work. So.
No, but I'm thinking she could do the voice and the animation could be built around her real voice because her voice is great.
Yeah, but they want to do the voice with AI too. That's the problem.
No, I'm saying that she would do the real voice and then the everything else. Because a lot of times in voice, you could tell it's AI. There's something a bit weird about it.
Yeah,
even as it improves, there's something that just doesn't come off right about it, like an uncanny some type of thing. And I think that she has a great voice for voiceover. So I don't know.
Yeah, she is one of the most famous voice actors.
That's
in
what
the
I'm
world.
saying. That maybe she could, head it off at the pass, and she, instead of waiting for other people to do animation where she does her voice, she can do her voice. And
then, she could make her own stuff.
That's what I'm saying. She could release her own
absolutely.
stuff with her voice. That's what I was thinking. Maybe it's a good idea. Maybe it's a bad idea.
No, Tara Strong Studios. She does. I see what you mean. Yeah, it's only good for them if they take control over it.
Of course, no. I meant that. I didn't mean that she would give her voice. I mean she does the real voice, builds her own animation around it with AI that'll be able to do good animation. There's also this thing with Vince Vaughn, which I wrote a tweet about it today that I think he's very late to the party. He's saying something that's true, but he's saying it now and it's very safe to say.
Why a lot of
So the thing is that I don't disagree with Vince Vaughn, but the only thing I'll say is that this is stuff that we've been saying for the past 7 years.
Yeah.
And now he's saying it. You see a lot of that over time, some people are willing to say what everybody's been thinking for a very long time. It just took them so long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's about the fear and the cowardice. Now it's okay to say these things when it wasn't before. But whenever they say this, I'm like, well, where were you 4 years ago when we needed your voice?
Well, I mean, Massgrave00 said Vince has been pretty based for years, guys. That's why he hasn't gotten a lot of roles in the last 10 years. It's possible, but I still feel like such a statement, I still haven't heard a lot of people say it until now. It took a very long time. They're always kind of, very far behind.
Yeah, there were a few like Zachary Levi and Marsden, and they lost their careers because of it. But yeah, you're right. But the fact that it's okay to start dipping your toe in this and start saying it now, that's a good sign for us.
It is. It really is a good sign.
Yeah, and by the way, somebody NMNM says Price wants to use AI for good, not evil. Yeah, just so you know, I wasn't trying to replace the Marla sister. I wanted her to take control of the animation. That way, she doesn't have to, grovel to any studio or to the beat of their drum. She can do everything in house by herself and still use her voice. That's what I was thinking to myself.
Yeah, That's absolutely
Not that I'm
perfect.
saying she would grovel. You know what I'm trying to say. I was trying to.
Yeah.
There's no way I can't get out of this, can I?
No, but I did want to tell Jason it's still the same people. They're just wearing different clothing. Like the same people that were running the Soviet Union. Those are the same people running it now. They're just wearing a different disguise.
Shouldn't AI be classed as animation though? Because animation as a concept is no humans, just voices. I guess.
Yeah, it's not live action, that's for sure. But then
AI should be classed as animation, right? It should be under that banner of animation, shouldn't it? It shouldn't be classed as AI as a separate thing. I don't know.
No, I got no problem with that. In fact, Disney calling their total computer 3D animated movies live action was ridiculous, and they ended up having to change that after garnering a lot of criticism for it.
Yeah.
Price wants to use AI to go to AI parties and accidentally mock Kristen Stewart again.
No, he wants to mock AI version of Kristen Stewart again.
Wait, okay, we have some people that I have to shout out from the Rumble side. Murrockstra, Dudebro Seth 420, Sal the Hamster, Pure Blood Base Berserker, Born to Be Down, Elizabeth Quince, who's a friend of the channel, is Phobos, Double R Star, may contain traces of seafood.
That is a great person. Name. I mean, I love that name.
That's a great. That's up there with Karate Werewolf. Man.
It is a good one.
We've got a bunch of people who've joined us over on YouTube today. So thank you. I've got the top 50 in my list here. So we've got the Real Head Case, Inku, PB 777, Mass Grave, Jonathan Conroy, Yitis, Adrian Veit, Badger 1701, Ms. Sparkles, Jawa Trader Utini, Tim Hayes, Rebecca Gold, DJ Skylo, Gridley, Awesome 142, Charlie Brown is a winner, Destiny Captain 247, Glade Riven, Buddha's Priest, Canadian Spider-Man, Marla Sharondoff, Ethereal Dragon, Sci-Fi for Me TV. Oh, look at that. Badfoot, Andrew Zacchaeus, Joe Darkness, Keely Chow, Strugun, Phantom Outsider, E. Clay Thomason, Mars Monkey Max, Ilord Corey, Murrockstro, James Caserta, John Davidson, Ryan Landis, Tomahawk 511, Caleb Levine, Red Eye 3701, Istaphobos, Lasher, Anti-Derivative Jill, Kodo Rob 22, Big Sur River, Jason Webster, Dutch Gradient, Mages Guild, and The Dead Man. So thank you all for joining us over on YouTube today. If I missed anybody, my apologies. We did get a number of super chats today. We got Mages Guild, The Dead Man, Jason Webster, and we also got the 12-month membership there from Tim Hayes. So and Dutch Gradient as well. Yep.
And I put all the links for everybody that was on this panel throughout the stream. Please like and subscribe to everybody here. This was such a great panel. I really like these people, and I hope you're already subscribed to them. Ian, he has his own channel with Rebecca Gold. That's an original series that he himself created. So you should go and support that because we want to support original creations.
Subscribe.
And I think you did what did you say?
Subscribe.
And
totally.
Rebecca Gold, the movie, coming soon.
It is coming soon. Yeah.
Anti-Derivative Jill, she does these great streams, whether it's Star Trek or Twilight Zone. Those are ones that I see on her channel that I really like. I've been a guest there a number of times, and I really, really recommend it. You should check out what she's doing. Professor R2 is on next. I put his link. Same with Istaphobos. Sci-Fi for Me also has his own YouTube channel, and I put the link here. Check out what he's doing as well. And he does some reporting. He's had some sources and interesting things going on with Star Trek. So you definitely want to keep up with that. And now this was such a great, I'm so happy that we were able to celebrate the cancellation of Starfleet Academy with such a full house. This is like the biggest party we've had here, ever probably.
Oh dear.
So thank you so much, and thank you for everybody who joined us and hung out with us today. It really felt like a special event, and I'm so happy that we got to be here with you in the chat and you in the panel. And that's it. I guess every Tuesday and Thursday, the Night Owl, 11:45 p.m. Eastern. Like I said again, if you came from one of my other social media accounts with a link and you're not yet subscribed to this channel, you should do it, because this is the channel for live streams. So please do that now. And yeah, anybody have anything else to say before we go?
No.
Anyone?
I just want to say, until season 2 is dead, buried, and erased from history, I'm still not going to throw a victory party until all of this is like Willow, is scoured from the face of the earth.
You know, it'll be funny if they uncancel it. Like tomorrow, like Ellison is like, you know what? I want the 4 seasons. But I don't think that's going to happen.
No, it's not. This was fun. I appreciate being able to come on. It
was great having you on here. It was fun.
Good having you.
And eventually I will figure out all of my audio problems.
Hey, you sound fine now.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, do I? Okay. Well, see, I've got all of this. I've got all of this stuff. This is all cobbled together over a number of years, and it's breaking. So, you know.
Wow.
That's the way it is.
You do sound great now. Let's start
command
over.
center.
Right? Yeah.
All right.
You're the man in the seat, aren't you?
I am.
Definitely the
I
man in
am.
the seat.
Yes.
Yeah.
The broadcast from the bunker.
Well,
Wow.
so I guess I want to wish everybody a good night, and we'll see you guys soon.
Take care,
Ta-da.
everyone.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Renew the Orville.
Renew the Orville.
Timing.
Maybe. It's maybe
Season
coming.
4.
We're still live.
Well, okay.